Potassium.
Hello, and welcome to the Saladcast on Sunday, the 7th of September, 2014. I'm your host, Dan Train. Joining me today, Robert Kemp.
Yeah.
And
I'm
Zachary
not got
Burgess.
special.
No, you haven't got anything special at all. Evidently.
Apparently not. And also Zachary Burgess is here.
Yep. I already started talking.
You did. And you're here.
You're not allowed until your name is called. And it was called, but muffled by me. Because I'm a terrible guest.
You're not a guest, you're a regular.
You're a guest on this podcast.
But if I'm... so am I classed as a classed as a regular and not a guest if Dan's the host?
Yeah.
Okay,
We're all the regulars.
Okay.
Because that's the people who are always podcasting. Always be podcasting.
Always be podcast.
We haven't had a guest for ages.
Casting, though.
When did we last have a guest? Okay, I guess we have Rick sometimes.
Kippers.
We had Kippers
Yeah.
a few times, yeah.
It's been a while.
We had Ho Yi
Hasn't
on
been a year,
at
though.
one point. I seem to remember. I got a offer that I saw Ben Parbury this week, and he might want to come on sometime. We might have him on, quiz him on life in Crytek UK, etc. And he's also making a game, so we might want to promote it.
All right then. I'm sure we can have some shameless plugs.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Oh, well, I haven't played it, but it looks pretty good. It's like a HTML5 canvas dealio, so you can run it on everything. It's a nice little puzzle game. First time I saw it, I thought it might be pack block, but no, it's actually less complicated than that, probably.
No.
How can it be less complicated than Packlog?
Well, okay, it gets more complicated. It starts off less, possibly. I don't know, pack block has...
Temporal skank.
Yes, temporal skank.
has mechanics.
Exactly.
It's not complicated.
No.
The individual mechanics are not complicated. There's a level where your thing bounces off a thing. That's the amazing complicatedness of physics. Although not actually physics.
Not physics.
Yeah, thinking about it, of all of our games from that we made for Happy Salad when we were 14, that one probably would work best as one of those, play on the bus type mobile games that makes loads of money.
Well, Pack Rocket, surely.
Do you think?
Because that basically is one of those.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
All you do is click on two different blocks.
There was a time element to Pack Rocket, isn't there? It was like a time-based puzzle rather than like, I don't know, Candy Crush or Quasi Cupcakes, like from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. But
well, it's like Bejeweled in Speed Mode.
Yeah, you had to tap quite fast. Yeah. That'd be interesting because
the only way to play Bejeweled.
If you turn that into a tap game, you'd have to make the box quite a lot bigger, which wouldn't.
Well, yes, you'd have to make the whole game quite a lot bigger. What window size was that game even in? It's like 400 by 300.
Yeah, it was pretty tiny, but that's cool. That would work on a mobile.
But the packs blocks themselves were like 16 pixels across or something.
Yeah, they were tiny.
The
you wouldn't be able to touch those. You have to make them probably more than double the size.
Man, I did have like a moment where. And I think I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago where I was on the verge of trying Unity stuff.
Yeah.
But I sort of started thinking, I wonder how you would actually make some of our games like, I don't know, good. And
right.
like what if we took something like Metabreed, like how could we make it a proper game, like, with sort of balanced mechanics and
but you can make Metabreed a balanced game. There's no actual there's no way you can react fast enough to have it be. You'd have to have an incredibly limited number of balls and actually have it be about slow motion imparting momentum on them to actually make them collide deliberately.
So no one's going to know anything that we've talked about for the last 3 minutes.
Well, we're talking about games.
Yeah,
we are.
We're weirdly on topic, but on topic in a very.
But on the topic of making indie games is an interesting topic, especially if you haven't done it before.
Yeah, it's just one of those classic problems that I always have. Like, unless someone's paying me to do something, I'm not going to do more of my job outside my job.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, even if it is much cooler than my job. Sorry, my job.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. You have to be really into the idea to spend your evenings doing that stuff as well as your day.
Yeah.
Not so good.
I mean, I struggle to get myself motivated to do the
to do your actual job.
Well, that, and to do my podcasting, and to do the editing side of it, and to do the video editing stuff, because it's not playing a game. Or even my music stuff. I do that so sporadically now. It's because it's not playing a game. I think I have a problem.
The largest problem with the video editing is because you're having to wrestle with shitty programs that never work in a way that you wish they would.
Yeah, true. We have a lot of problems.
But video editing isn't as fun as making a game because it's maybe it could be, but it's not like you're doing complicated editing like film editing.
No, it's I'm purely dealing with the shit that happens from our recording situation where things for some reason aren't in sync or for some reason aren't well suited to each other. Or,
ideally you could
dealing with bugs in our programs that we use to try and that means that any changes that I do make to the sync don't work even when it's in exporting unless I do some weird workarounds, and it's I could see
that stuff being much less fun than making a cool game in Unity or something, or trying to figure out how to make Metabreed actually work I think Zach might be right though. But I don't know, because I think you probably could get more. I think you were going in the right direction with Metabreed 2. No one's going to know what I'm talking about.
Just go even weirder and crazier with mechanics all over the place. I needed the black and white. Maybe perhaps at this point we should explain what it was. We've done this before on the cast. We have talked about it before, but
we've kept saying we're going to make a video on it one day.
One day. I think this is something we'd need all three of us in the vicinity to do.
Can you get everything working on your PC, and I'll send you what I've got, and then
a point, I couldn't get Metabreed 2 to work last time I tried.
So I haven't got anything running right now.
Yeah, I think it's possible. We have managed it in the past, but last time I tried, I couldn't get some of the some of our later stuff to work.
Right.
I did get Discs of Abnormality working after a struggle.
Obviously.
But anyway, Metabreed was imagine a breakout paddle sort of style game, but instead of bouncing a ball to break bricks in front of you, you're bouncing gravity-induced coloured balls that are actually little Pac-Men. And they keep spawning periodically, but you have to try and make them collide with each other in order to breed more packs. And that was basically it. Just keep as many of them as in the air as you can in order to keep your timer and your score multipliers up. And then, of course, power-ups came into effect, and some of them got increasingly crazy by Metabreed 2. And in Metabreed 2, we did try an experiment with slightly more advanced mechanics, such as the white and black packs, where the white packs gave you more time but less score, and the black packs were the uber score givers but would eat your white packs. And it's so maybe we need to come up with more mechanics like that, but then the game was probably too fast-paced to really think about any of that stuff, so you basically just sort of, let's just bounce everything.
That's all you had to do was just bounce as much stuff as you could. There wasn't actually any skill in any other part of it.
No. And, you would frequently get screwed up by power-ups that basically just killed you, essentially.
That's the classic maneuver of, when you badly program a power-up and you're just this is a funny reference to something, but it's actually an anti-power-up.
Yeah. I mean, it's fine to have some anti-power-ups, but some of them was, so bad for you. The bounce was probably the worst. Because when you got the bounce power up, all the gravity of all the packs was completely reset, and they would all just bounce from as if they'd hit the paddle from wherever they were.
They'd just fall in a rain.
And that meant they all fell simultaneously.
That also meant that you weren't getting any time while they were rebouncing.
No, so in the end game, that was a real problem. I say the end game, when you were running out of time and you got a bounce, it's shit.
Yeah.
But it could work to your favour, because if everything falls at the same time, then in theory everything would hit the paddle at the same time if you were if you caught enough of them, so you could get a large sudden batch of time. Mm. It's those sort of mechanics perhaps we needed to think through and expand upon, ones that are slightly less random maybe, but I don't know. But then that was half the fun of the game. I don't know.
The whole game was random.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe you could.
It's one of those things that sounds cooler in theory than perhaps in execution.
I wonder if you could evolve the game. If you had control over the parameters, you could balance it by just playing it over and over, or not necessarily. You could even automate it, like have a crappy UI, play it, and then tune the parameters until
you'd do all the you'd have to go through proper prototyping if we were going to do this for real. But partly because I doubt my ability to put proper graphics on it. Like, they weren't exactly proper graphics back in the old Games Factory.
Well, they were stolen graphics.
Yeah, exactly, because you
weren't stolen.
You worked with what you had. Well, they weren't stolen, no, because they're from the royalty-free libraries, whatever,
exactly.
Unless you want to include the likeness of Pac-Man in that. But
we'd probably do the same thing. We'd probably go on Game Sprites or whatever it is and get some royalty-free stuff or pay for some stuff.
Yeah, or you use the Unity store or something.
Exactly.
Either that or you just go, totally abstract and do everything vector. Keep it simple.
That might work for a Metabreed.
Yeah, it might make everything. But then again, some of the and just go nuts with the effects on power-ups and things.
Totally.
Because I don't know, even the background for that was fucked, wasn't it? Because Metabreed 2 had that. I don't know why. I had no eye for. I don't know, style.
You had an insatiable desire to use every effect possible in Photoshop Pro, though.
Yeah,
which was cool. You just used to layer on as much shit as possible.
Everything needs not enough lens flares. Partly because, how do you do a lens flare in Multimedia Fusion? When I'm throwing hundreds of objects about.
My favourite, to be honest, is my favourite example of your kind of visual insanity is probably the little menu system that we made for when we packaged all our games together onto one CD.
Oh yeah, it's practically unreadable because it all had that weird metal sheen. That sort of font where halfway down it goes from grey to that weird blue chrome.
Yeah, it was
an orange effect.
Blue to orange, yeah.
Oh man.
And it had these insanely bassy, sound effects and everything.
Every time you click the button, boom, and then everything had to move on the screen with a whoop, 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 as it moved on. And because the objects were quite large, Games Factory wasn't very good at handling the movement of them, so it all ran like shit.
But it had bouncing easing and stuff, which is quite modern these days. It was just insanely slow. The things flew in from the side of the screen and then they would overshoot slightly and click back, which is very common these days in UI. But it happened at an insane glacial pace where it went click, click, click. They literally clicked in with a little sound effect of moving into place.
Oh man, we got Glacial Spoon Racer to work.
Oh yeah.
But we had to halve all of the parameters. Yeah, we had to patch it because it runs too fast.
Yeah, it was already pretty fast. Do you play 2-player?
Yeah, we attempted 3-player.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, or did we? No, we might have gone as... No, it was 3-player because we didn't... Did we? We might have tried 4-player. We might have tried 4. The problem we had, though, is that obviously because three players were using a keyboard, that you ended up just with key collisions.
Well, that's the classic problem. Yeah.
Yeah, it just wasn't working so great.
I mean, you only need 2 keys for that game, which is a bit better than a lot of games, but still. Yeah. Did you get any technical wins?
No.
It's quite hard to do.
I think we only won it properly a couple of times because once we slowed it down, it was super easy because it's the problem with it running in speed mode. Right, Glacial Spoon Racer was a vertical...
stupid game that I made.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to think how to describe it, actually. So you're a spoon racing down a very icy...
Glacier,
I guess, yeah. And there's rocks in the way. And so basically, your only control is to move left and right, but there are boost pads, and hitting the boost pad will move you further down the screen. And the basic idea was not to get to the bottom of the course first. It was just to get to the win marker down the screen, which is obviously just moving ahead of you all the time.
Yeah, the course was.
But as soon as you hit anything, you went right back to the start of the screen.
Yeah.
And it took in dramatic fashion.
It took about 2.5 boost pads, right? Or because you could glance off the boost pad and not get the full boost, right?
Yeah.
So
and this was the problem with when the game was running super fast because the boost would practically give you nothing because of the amount of time you spent on the boost pad.
Yeah.
So it became even harder. Other than the insane speed. And of course, every time you exploded, it would put in giant text at the bottom of the screen, Terminal Moraine, which then, of course, obscured all the objects coming towards you.
Yeah. And you could also slipstream in multiplayer mode, right? So you could, if someone had managed.
Oh, not in the version I have. I think that was added after the version. After the
you've got
copy
an older version. Okay.
Yeah.
I've probably got the most up-to-date versions, etc. I should just zip it up and just send it to you.
Glacial Spoon Racer 1.1.
Whatever I've got.
My only contribution to that game, I think, was making explosion particles and the snow trails.
Well, the snow trails were so much better than the crap ones I had. They were like so awesome in comparison. You basically made that just by adding that stuff. It like really improved it.
That was the one thing like that. Well, apart from having I got some of our friends from the Cambridge crowd to play a few of them.
Oh, really?
And other than sort of just laughing at our general concepts and like ineptitude, and like, why the hell did you think of this stuff?
It was genius. It was inspired by my GCSE geography course, obviously.
Yeah. Well, it's like other than that, they were kind of impressed with our use of like particles to like, and to the point where one of them knew a bit about how Games Factory and MMF worked, and it's like, oh yeah, I never thought of doing things like that. That's cool. Good job, guys.
But you didn't even get to show them the really weird stuff, like things I made generally, like fat lump of window.
Oh no, yeah, I didn't have that. I didn't have.
That'd be a weird one.
I don't have a copy of Fat Lump.
The thing with that advanced like Games Factory stuff that we did and multimedia feeded stuff was at the time like you start off using it and you're like point and click and it's like, oh, this is simple. This isn't like proper programming at all because I didn't know anything about. I wouldn't have touched a command line because I was kind of post DOS, really. I could just about, run a game or something in DOS.
I couldn't code properly.
But I didn't know any kind of command line, and anything that involved any typing or anything was totally beyond me. So so what happened was me and Rob, we got really advanced with Games Factory. And I don't know about you, but I was constantly going, oh, this isn't proper programming. But now I look back and it's like, no, that was full on exactly what I do.
In a lot of ways, it's pretty close.
Yeah, it's the same, pretty much.
Just the way you can't manage your game loop in the ways that you would like is the problem.
No, exactly.
You don't have enough control to be able to say, to get the precision you'd want to design the sort of games you really want to achieve.
Well, I still think they could have improved some of the looking back, I think they could have improved some of the abstractions and still kept it point and click. Like, I reckon the way that it was clumsy, like you couldn't select a single instance of a class, basically. So if you had like 5 alien spaceships, you couldn't say this one do this or whatever. You just couldn't do it. And it seems like that wouldn't be that hard to do.
I mean, I do wonder if you couldn't keep a reference to objects like that. That is part of the problem. Like, you couldn't say, oh, okay, this is the one doing this. And objects had a very limited ability to store variables within themselves.
So you could give them state, right? So I used to do that, like say this one's number 1 or whatever.
Well, they had 4 flags or something and a couple of values. Something that was really
in
limited.
Games Factory, they had 3 alterable values, didn't they, or something? But by the
I think there was a weird distinction. Like, you had a couple of values that were like integers, and then a number of flags that were like just booleans.
Yeah.
So you had to try and use what you had to make anything work. And so Metabreed, for instance, used the one of the values to indicate the life of the pack. So that would increment over time, which would mean that pack was more valuable. And in Metabreed 1, there was actually a visual effect to go with it, where the trails behind the packs got longer if they were older.
Unless it was a light blue one.
Unless it was the purple one, which was just fucked up for some reason.
For no
I never did find out why that broke. Yeah, it's just for some reason that one colour just wouldn't work.
That was the hilarity of it, that some weird stuff would just happen and we'd just go with it.
Yeah, well, you had no choice. You had no choice. It's like Pac Beam, which is, basically, if you've ever played Vital Light on the Amiga, go look it up. It was my attempt at sort of making something like that, except it really didn't work in the same way because you couldn't make that game properly. But it's, the best bug with that was like there's blocks falling down from the screen normally, but they would move in like set chunks, a bit like, I don't know, Space Invaders dropping or Tetris blocks falling. It would move in at sort of like 1 block per tick, I suppose. Mm-hmm. Except occasionally that would break and everything would start drifting diagonally upwards to the right. Just of its own accord. Like, whenever whenever that happens, it's just like you're obliged to just shout, "Shift! Oh God, shift!"
I can never get it to happen though. I've never seen it. I don't think since
it happened the first time I tried to play it, like recently.
Really?
I was demonstrating it. It's like there's this funny bug that happens occasionally where everything starts drifting, and I've got no idea why, and it immediately happens, and I'm like, "Shit!"
Awesome, that's cool. And then there were my favorite of yours was the because I effectively copied your code, which was quite hard to do in the Games Factory. For the
how even did you did that?
Well, you could.
Did you do that? Shit! How even did you do that?
You actually could do it, but I copied your code effectively for the crab AI in Death Ender, and that totally blew my mind. I have no idea what's going on with those things. They all sort of slow down at once, and then some of them start moving, but they move differently to each. I have no idea what's going on with those crabs, but they're amazing.
I can't remember how they worked.
Like,
what the logic was. There was something about if one of them was in the same horizontal plane as your ship.
Yeah.
Then it would do something to move them in a different direction. And I think they were all attached to direction calculators, so they all had momentum.
Yeah.
But then, of course, because one of them was in the plane, and you couldn't target that one.
Yeah, they would all
do something in sync. But the direction calculator meant that they all did something slightly different in sync.
Yeah.
And it looks awesome.
Yeah, it was amazing. So yeah, that was super cool. I love that. And then of course there was my approach to Zach's bug fixing, where he had a serious bug in his puzzle game and we couldn't figure out how to find it. So I just suggested he just test for it and then like blow the world up.
That was great. Temporal skank.
It was a classic bug of like it's a bug that shouldn't be possible to happen, where it pretty much just disabled one of the controls or prevented your bullets from spawning effectively.
Yeah.
Like, how is it even doing that?
Well, were you hitting like an object limit? Because
no, not in that game.
Games Factory was really bad at cleaning up, though, if you were using any sort of effects. It's like
I didn't leave any cheese. I mean, come on.
Oh, you didn't leave the explosion cheese.
Explosion cheese.
Man, I had to come up with so many tricks, from dealing with those particles to make sure they destroyed properly.
Yeah.
I think Metabreed used to have a pass every 30 seconds or something where it would just delete all unimportant objects, ones I use for effects.
You did your own garbage collection kind of thing.
Pretty much, yeah. But it would just it essentially most of the particles would normally destroy at the end of their animation. You'd just tie an event to when the animation finishes, destroy them. But they occasionally that didn't always work because for some reason events in Games Factory are super shit and just don't detect half the time.
Yeah.
And so you'd have to do this pass occasionally to say, okay, there's these trails, especially from. Oh no, that was it. I think in Metabreed 1, I specifically did it for the purple ones because the trails were sort of infinite. It's I think every 2 seconds or something there was a pass to just delete them, and
which would look quite weird when you were playing, right? Because suddenly the whole trail would disappear and then start spawning again.
It was very weird, but cool days. But that's the thing. It's
freaking cool days.
It's kind of fun, but almost Games Factory style dev is so different from ours. I'm not sure. Maybe that wouldn't matter so much doing that because it's not coding. But then I almost realised if I was to go back to doing something like Games Factory or MMF in their current states, that maybe I would just find myself all the time going, "Oh, if I could just code this."
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, and it is coding. It totally full on is. So you might as well do it with something that is going to respond to what you're actually telling it to do.
So you can make pretty good stuff in MMF2. Oh, I've seen some pretty good stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But ultimately it's the same engine. So it's how the hell are they doing that? I don't know. So these wizards of MMF are far beyond what we did.
Yeah. But it's been more than 10 years since we were doing it.
Yeah. 14
yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, so I'm sure things have moved on somewhat in MMF land, but even so, I still think Unity is worth a try, seeing as one of the main languages for Unity is C#, right? So you could just get stuck.
Oh, yeah.
And just plug in a bunch of
That would be my entry point. And, it's free to get started.
Yeah.
So.
And then you can worry later about whether it's worth. I saw some
it's just
interesting blog post this week about a game that was decided to switch from Unity to Unreal Engine 4. And they were very pleased that they did. But, of course, they were much more advanced because they were butting up against all the limits of Unity. And they were like,
oh, really?
Oh, this is so much better. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, Unity's good at what it does. It's like if you're only building I don't know, I guess what you'd call like indie to B tier games, then maybe Unity fits the bill real nice. But if you're doing, I don't know, if you're building the next Gears of War or something, you probably need something a bit more heavyweight. It's fantastic. It's fantastic for the niche it fills.
Yeah. It definitely seems to be gaining ground because, tempted to look at it now. Maybe we should have a look at it, Rob. I don't know.
I mean, we should. Whether I will is the other question.
Yeah. Don't know.
Just every time I've got so close, it's like, I need to step away from this machine and go sit myself down in front of a different machine.
That's your thought process. Yeah. Understandable.
Yeah, I don't know. It's that whole argument that I've mentioned several times about. That's the reason I don't do more work on the website that I do really want to, but by the end of the day, it's just I have no drive left.
I'm almost definitely probably getting that laptop next week after 5 months or something. They've been promising. Anyway, so
you're the one in the best position out of all of us now with your web specialization.
Well, I'm the web dude.
Do that stuff. Yeah,
Mr. Web. So I'll see what I can do there. Need to get it all set up and stuff, and I'm taking some time off as well, so I might start looking at it not this week, but next week, and then. Okay, this is podcast talk, but you're on holiday then, yeah, right?
Yeah.
But after that following weekend, we should get together and do a video and stuff for the fine folks, fine listeners of the salad.
You just call them fine pokes.
Folks.
Oh, I thought you said pokes.
Fine pokes.
What's up, me pokes?
My fine pokes.
So, what's the word for when you're talking about yourselves a lot? There's is it like self-indulgence?
Right, like narcissistic or?
Yeah, stuff like that. There's been a lot of that so far.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
There would be a much more dramatic statement if you hadn't had to work out what the word was.
Words have been escaping me real bad this last week. Like, just can't remember anything that I want to say. It's one of those things where it's like, I know there is a word that exists for the thing I'm trying to express, but I can't remember it, so I have to say it in a really stupid, long-winded way.
Your vocab has gone.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
I know what's going on right now.
What's going on right now?
News!
Oh, it's the definition of news.
Is it?
What's going on?
What's going on right now, though?
Yeah, but it's no longer news if it's gone.
Well, yeah, but it's like, what is the definition of how long does news remain news before it
Again, we've talked about this before.
I don't know if we have.
What, the length of news?
Yes, it's like, what's the specific window of newsness?
It's news if you haven't heard it before, I guess.
Okay.
Once you've heard
that
it, it's no longer...
definition of news.
It's news to you.
Something you haven't heard of.
Once you've heard it, it's no longer news, it's history.
Okay. That makes sense.
So what news have we got this week from the world of computer gaming?
Well, I've got a couple of notes of things we missed. Like, from Gamescom, we didn't talk at all about Quantum Break, because Microsoft showed some of that.
Did they? Okay. What's the deal?
It's a third-person shooter.
From Remedy?
Yep.
Wow. What, you mean like Alan Wake and Max Payne?
It's a bit more like Max Payne than Wake, I suppose, because Wake's, a bit weird. But actually, it just looks like a normal cover shooter, but with some really cool effects for the time stuff. Like, so when you... Like, they've gone for that, like, you've seen from, like, the older stuff they put out, like, breaks in time are, like, represented with a sort of sharded glass-like effect. Right, so, for some reason, your character has the ability to sort of mess with this stuff. And so, like, he can freeze things in place and create shields for himself, but it's all done in this really cool looking, like, sharded glass effect. But it basically, it just looks like, mechanically it doesn't actually look very special, but it's just the visual design looks kind of cool. Like, they have these things that they demoed called stutters, where basically a big area gets, like, super fucked up and time goes all weird.
Okay.
And it's sort of paused, but things can sort of shift and sort of stutter, hence the name. But that gives you the ability to do, like, crazy stuff, like you can, like, just push a car and it will fly for miles instead of just having the normal effect because of the way that you're manipulating this environment. But of course, there's bad guys in these stutters that for some reason have some kind of stutter-proof armor or something, and then my sort of, like, impressions of this being cool start to fall apart. And it's
right,
like,
okay.
Come on, really?
Already there's some weird conceits going on around the time stuff.
But when you're in the stutter, at least, it looks pretty cool, because, like, everything's sort of all, I don't know, light and misty and made of this glass effect, and sort of things jiggle because they're behaving weirdly in time. It could be kind of interesting, but ultimately,
sounds potentially
it's going to be a third-person shooter, and that's going to be what they haven't talked about, and we still are in the dark
TV
about is how all that TV stuff factors in, or if it still factors in with, like, the Xbox studio shutting down. What was it, Xbox Entertainment or whatever it was called?
Oh yeah. Oh, they said though that this stuff wouldn't be affected by that though. I think they did.
Did they? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think that was part of when they were shutting it down. But I mean, who knows how true that is? But they said it would be.
Yeah.
And we don't even know what it's going to be anyway, really.
No. So yeah. Anyway, that's pretty much all they showed. They didn't really say a great deal more than that, but yeah, visually interesting. Mechanically familiar thus far.
Cool. Well, I mean, I quite liked Alan Wake. I didn't get that. It didn't grab me though. But I'm a fan of classic Max Payne. 1 and 2.
Well, you're a fan of new Max Payne as well.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Rockstar Max Payne too, but it's definitely different. But
it'd be just nice to see the return of these guys, I guess. Like, see what they're up to.
Exactly.
And we also missed that Geometry Wars 3 is a thing.
Oh, yeah. I just saw the screenshots of that. It looks obviously mental.
Like Geometry Wars.
Yeah, but
they're sort of 3D-ifying it.
Well, they're kind of pasting it onto shapes, right?
You kind of, like, the playfield is now on an object.
So everything happens on a 2D plane, right? But that plane could be wrapped around a cylinder or a donut or a...
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah.
It's a bit. It looks like it plays like, I don't know if you've played Super Stardust or something, and like that is again a sort of 2D game, but everything's on a sphere.
Yeah,
and it's
exactly like that.
And your bullets just and everything follows that plane around the sphere.
Yeah. It could be cool.
But they've talked about that the shape could change mid-level under certain challenges, so like warping how you think about attacking things. Yeah, does it matter? Does it think? And it also sounds like they're doing a sort of level-based structuring to the game. Like there's a certain challenge in each stage that you have to meet, rather than the.
Oh, okay.
There's like a career mode or something, I guess. Like there's a progression, but they have mentioned that a lot of the old modes will be coming back.
So is this like X-Bizarre people then?
Pretty much, yeah. It's another splinter of X-Bizarre guys that have. I think then it was. Am I right in thinking this was coming out under the Sierra name, or it was associated with them in some way?
Maybe. Yeah, I think it is.
Like, because so it's Activision essentially, is it?
Right.
Doing this. I don't know. Whatever. Who cares? It's coming. And could be interesting. I know it's sort of weird to see the I struggle to call them the models, really, like the shapes and stuff, but actually sort of rendered in 3D. You see what I mean? Like rather than their sort of 2D counterparts, they've actually sort of made like the snakes, for instance, are actually like pyramids rather than just triangles. That kind of stuff. It does change the look, but as long as there are particles everywhere and the particles are doing cool things and there's more effects on screen than I can count, then they're going in the right direction. Because that's what Geometry Wars is.
So what platforms is it coming to?
Don't know. Presumably next gen, I would wager. Because they've got no ties to just releasing it on Xbox anymore, so it's...
That's true. That's what I was wondering. But will it be on Steam?
Also a very good question. Don't know.
Because that would be cool.
Can't remember off the top of my head. They might have said, but they might not. Not news! Possibly news.
Rumours. Speculation.
We don't actually know anything.
No.
Okay.
Made-ups.
Made-ups. What else is going on? Oh, I forgot about the whole stupid Gamergate bullshit, or whatever the fuck that was, or why is it even called that? Like, what the hell's the deal with idiots being idiots? And why...
It's the internet, isn't it?
This is my basic summarization of it.
Why'd they call it that?
The internet, big surprise.
Yeah,
nobody is smart on any part of the internet. That's pretty much the rules, including us.
That is true.
But the whole thing, like, completely passed me by, thank God.
Yeah,
but then someone was telling me about it, and I was like, "What the fuck is going on?"
What is going on? I can't. I actually don't know.
Zach,
do a very, very brief overview of, like, this is only as much as I've even gleaned, and I haven't been paying attention.
Zachary goes on point.
On point.
It's like I haven't even been paying attention to it because I don't care for retarded internet action, because this is definitely retarded internet action. But so basically, there was a rumor that a game developer, who I'm not going to name because I can't be bothered to deal with the names, but some game developer was rumored to have been sleeping with journalists and they were giving her good reviews, which was immediately disproved because there were no reviews.
Right.
There was only a preview of one of her games, and that was way before she slept with some guy who was a reviewer, and not even at the same time. So that was immediately disproved, and then a bunch of people on the internet who heard the rumor got all pissy and got up in arms and then started harassing her, as you do on the internet, because it's the fucking internet. And then they hacked a bunch of shit, and then everyone got pissed off about the hacking, and then the journalists got pissed off about the internet and started saying dumb, like, generalizations like all gamers are terrible people and shit, so that pissed everyone off some more.
Really?
This is the main thing. I think this is the main thing is the turning point was when the gaming press started getting pissy with the internet. Like, don't they realize it's the internet?
Exactly. This whole thing, even from the start, is like, have you not been on the internet before? This is what happens.
The gaming press are part of the internet. They should be like, every post they make probably has a comment thread that reminds them that they're on the internet.
Exactly.
And but it was like, it's called Gamergate, right? Because one of the journalists said that gamers are now dead or something, or that
they're clean.
Gamers are dying.
Now the people who were originally doing bad things on the internet are being like, oh no, now they're harassing us. That's what so they came up with the Gamergate idea.
But they're using the word gamer as like... Is this what led to all
the DDoS stuff? Like when you said hacking, is that like... Because I don't think anything about hack.
Coincidental.
Because there was a ton of... Like, this leads into some of the news I've got, actually, because there were a ton of DDoS stuff going on.
But it's just like...
And what's more, at the same time, the woman who's making those videos about women representation in games,
because they won't fucking shut up about her either.
And so she released another video at precisely the same time. This was all being stupid and dramaful.
And then a bunch of people have left the internet forever, like Phil Fish has again for about the millionth time. We'll know him because he keeps doing it.
Well, that's no surprise. How was he involved?
He was supporting
someone.
Yeah, they were supporting one of the people in this big retarded internet argument.
And then realised that they were all douchebags and was like, oh shit guys, I'm out.
Yeah, pretty much. That's basically how Phil Fish operates every time. He realises everyone's douchebags and then just leaves.
And then comes back. Because you can't avoid the internet.
So yeah, the quote that it's like a totally unrelated quote that happened ages ago, but it's just a quote that I remember that sort of sums up everything about the internet, basically. Was a quote from Taiko Infinity Arcade where he said, the The worst thing you can do on the internet is tell someone not to do something or talk about it.
Yep, that's very true. I gotta admit, I seem to be more affected by idiots on the internet than I used to be.
Yeah.
It's like, I'll read comment threads and I'll get so angry by the people that are there. Like, it's the worst thing to do if you're about to start a shift at work or something. Like, I have a tendency of turning my computer on in the morning. Like, I'll have my bowl of cereal out and I'll read some news or something, catch up on my code project email, stuff like that. And occasionally I'll scroll too far down, and occasionally I'll see some stuff, and then I'll get drawn into that stuff, and then regret it for the half hour afterwards that my mind is milling over just how unbelievably imbecilic people are. I'm hoping imbecilic is a word.
Probably not.
I think it might be. I think that might be a word.
Vocab returns.
I guess speaking of things that are actually semi-related to this topic...
Dude, that's a word, by the way. That's
woo!
Success.
Yeah. My arms are in the air in some kind of victory stance.
Speaking of things which are semi-related to this topic, and also things I totally don't care about in any way, there was also the news report, on the BBC homepage, there was a news report that was PewDiePie is turning off his YouTube comments because he hates them so much. And it's well, yes, I think that's
a lot of people,
YouTube should turn off all comments.
A lot of people misreported this as that he was leaving YouTube.
Yeah.
And it's no, that's not what's happening. He's just turning off.
But it's
surely his comments, possibly as the most popular video maker on YouTube, surely his comments must have been the worst.
Well, supposedly the reason that he was actually pissed off with the comments is just because of spam and advertising. Because he's such a popular channel, he just gets constant bots.
Yeah,
rather than just the content of his comments, which is probably the much worse thing. Because it's YouTube.
Yeah. I don't know if I should say that, actually. I was about to say, we've got away with it so far.
Well, no one cares about our shit, so we're good.
It's fine.
Yeah, we're all good. No one gives a shit. It's perfect. It's ideal.
No comments ever.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I think that this is the worst. It feels like things are terrible at the moment in terms of the internet. It's really bad.
It only feels as if it feels like things are terrible if you actually care. And
well, this is the thing.
I fight with internet.
I sort of agree with. I don't think actually anything has changed, but I don't know. I mysteriously seem more aware of it now.
The thing that annoys me about the whole situation is that there's basically only two states that you can be in, which is either just let it go and just leave the discussion threads to do whatever they're going to do and then wear themselves out, or completely shut it down. Because you can't have a middle state, and I keep seeing people trying to be in the middle state where they're doing. It's like how everyone is pissed off about the old vague tweets and stuff, where you're not saying. Where it's you can't not talk about a topic by talking about it and not saying anything, because that just confuses everyone.
Yeah, my Facebook is becoming a bit like that. If I'm honest, there are people I know. All right, this could get deep. There are people I know that fall into the category of what I call neo-atheists, shall we say.
Right.
I've heard that phrase knocked about a bit.
Right.
Where it's
people
just
from our atheism or whatever.
Yeah, the people that are aggressive about it.
Right? Yeah.
Although, and they don't actually have to be that aggressive themselves, but they'll retweet or reshare something that is.
Yeah. Some idiotic thing that Richard Dawkins has said or something.
It's something like that. And it's my personal beliefs aside, I sort of have a problem with people just being aggressive about that stuff. Yeah. So I see it on an increasingly frequent basis, and I get annoyed. And it's this is my Facebook. This is my thread. This is supposed to be the stuff I like.
Yeah.
It's fuck. Maybe that's why I'm becoming more aware of it, because it's in every thread I have.
That's really annoying.
Yeah. Well, it's honestly, I don't know.
That's one thing that has got better on Reddit, actually, is that they made, for a very long time, for way too long, the atheism subreddit was one of the defaults. So if you visited and you hadn't got an account and you just went to reddit.com, you would see those posts. And it was rampant, it was horrible, all that stuff.
It's I really don't have a problem with people that, I'm just going to say I don't have a problem with people with that viewpoint, just to caveat myself here. It's but
you don't have to be a dick about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's what South Park say, right?
It's
like
internet.
like in the 5,000 years in the future, there are all those civilizations based entirely on atheism. And it's like, the one thing we learned from our great Lord Richard Dawkins: it's not enough just to be atheist. You've got to be a real dick about it too.
Yeah. So Gamergate then.
No,
yeah,
we're done with this topic.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. And then the other terrible thing, other terrible internet thing was what I've now seen was the leaked celebrity photos thing, right? Which is terrible.
Oh yeah,
but I've seen the gaming.
No,
but what kind of idiot stores your like personal, I don't know, naked photos of yourself on a public cloud?
Well, it's because I would say it's because a lot of stuff is just automatic.
Well, apparently,
if you don't remember that your like iPhone automatically syncs with the cloud or whatever.
Oh, maybe, yeah. Oh, apparently it came, like Apple did come out and say, hey, a lot of this stuff came from us, but it wasn't a hack attempt. It wasn't a breach.
It was just phishing.
Yeah, people phished passwords and got access to their account that way. So to Apple, nothing got broken.
Supposedly.
Yeah.
Or so they say.
So they say, yeah. You know,
I mean,
one of the biggest corporations in the world, they can say what the fuck they want.
But I mean, I bet some of the stuff must have been like, I don't know, it probably was, and what I don't know what to say.
But it's the fact that it's all celebrity stuff, but like maybe they got like tons of accounts and were like, oh shit, this is Jennifer Lawrence. Fuck.
Well, I think it was just like, if you were doing the phishing, you'd be phishing for celebrity accounts, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
you'd go for the big catch,
I guess. Yeah,
because apparently Mary Elizabeth Winstead, she had some posters. You know, the actress from
Scott Pilgrim.
Scott Pilgrim. She had some problems, and then she tweeted that she deleted those photos years ago or whatever. That were private between her and her husband or whatever. So
interesting. That's
so
more
she was
suspicious.
Like, I can't even imagine what creepy lengths these people went through to get these private photos. Anyway,
that sounds more suspicious.
Really
but then no one's really confirmed like whose came from what service. You know, like did hers come from iCloud or did hers just conveniently come from somewhere else at the same time? You know.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean it's bad enough that this idiot did this or whatever, or idiots. But the way people react to it, on the internet, is just really depressing. I mean, I've heard it's been called. I've seen it being called the fappening on Reddit. Yeah,
that is a fantastic name, but
it's terrible.
It's like, oh man. That's well done for coming up with that name, but at the same time, fuck you guys.
Yeah, fuck you guys. Fuck you bastards. Anyway.
Well, I mean, it's like the worst part of the story is really like, well, once journalists decided to actually look at like all the darknet shit, it's like they were selling these photos to each other.
Matt, did you see that? Did you see that Horizon show this week about the darknet?
Was that any good?
Actually, it's kind of okay. They do. It's basically the darknet for beginners. So
everyone can go in there and get their hacked celebrity photos.
Sort of. They describe like elements like Tor and how certain elements of cryptography works and things like that. But they do it in a very basic way. Like it's not anywhere near as complex as someone like me would need to appreciate it. But at the same time, it wasn't actually that bad. It's more of an. It's sort of an opinion piece because they're talking to a lot of like talking heads that are involved in this sort of cryptography community and stuff like that. But it's at the same time they're kind of making a point that it's like, hey, you can't have privacy and everything be good, or hey, you can't have government security without everyone knowing everything about you and that kind of thing. It's like this is just how it works, and it's they're not wrong.
No.
So from that aspect, and they touched on things like Bitcoin and stuff like that, but I was kind of annoyed about that because I think Bitcoin is a pile of shite. It's like I have real problems with how that thing is set up, how it's run, how it works. Like I kind of like the idea of a global currency that's not attached or anything, but at the same time, fuck Bitcoin. And they sort of just gloss over all of it, sort of like.
Well, Bitcoin is the main thing that it was used to buy illegal stuff on the darknet, right? You used Bitcoin.
Oh yeah, it still is. It still is. But they do mention that bit, but they sort of just gloss over how deep that rabbit hole goes. And I was like, oh, there's much more to this story than you're letting on.
Yeah, it's typical of Horizon, though. In every field, like they're always dumbing it down.
Yeah, beginner's guide to Bitcoin, I guess.
Yeah.
Also, Bitcoin's weird anyway. So like one coin is worth like several $100 or something.
Well,
so
it is now.
Always represented in like several weird, tons of decimal places.
But it wasn't initially.
That's not weird. That's just
I know, but it just sort of strikes me as like, if you were to use it as a legitimate currency, that's not a decent way of managing it.
But it's designed
you just multiply everything by 100 and then you solve the problem. It's not actually an issue.
I know, it just looks like shit. It's like I don't know. I find yen weird for that precise reason because the numbers are so big. It's like...
Well, the problem when you're looking at Bitcoin is because you're seeing it converted from like regular money into decimals. Because it's like when you're looking at yen prices, they're all in like multiples of 100 or 1,000 because they've just their currency they have. They've
learned to shorten it. Yeah, yeah, it needs one of those. Just in the other direction.
Well, the same direction technically. It's just. You just make it instead of 0.965, you just make it 0.9.
Yeah, I guess. Anyway, speaking of money.
Really? With what?
Amazon bought Twitch.
Oh, okay.
Have we not talked about
this? Fairly decent segue.
Nope, this happened after the last episode.
We talked about the theoretical Google bait.
Yeah, because everyone thought that Google were going to buy it for $1 billion.
It made a lot more sense.
The news.
Yeah.
Well, does it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Well, actually, I don't know what Amazon are going to try and do in gaming in general. I guess this does make sense because it goes along with. Well, my suspicion is that so they'll have this and they've got EC2, right? Which is or whatever. They've got their huge cloud business.
The Elastic Cloud. Yeah.
I think they might try and do a whole full-blown like on live Gaikai type thing in an Amazon style because they're really annoyed basically I think that Netflix has already won that kind of market and they're trying to compete with them with their Amazon Prime thing.
Yeah, they're pushing pretty hard, aren't they? Because Amazon Prime is what Love Film used to be, right?
It is, yeah. But in America,
Love Film has no effect over there.
Yeah, so but they're trying to push their instant video or whatever. But I think if they might have a unique selling point if they're the ones streaming the gaming as well as maybe that's what's going through their heads. I'm not saying it's realistic.
Maybe. We never heard what happened to Double Helix, like after they got bought by Amazon, for instance.
So the Amazon Games department.
Yeah, what's that all about? We still don't really know, and
I think this is a part of that strategy, but I still think it would have made more sense for YouTube to buy Twitch. But,
but YouTube have been really trying, like with Google Hangouts and stuff. Maybe Google. Let me stop with that argument. What Twitch actually said at the point of purchase. I mean, you could read this as I don't know,
marketing nonsense,
normal press statement bullshit. Yeah. But they were basically saying that Amazon was a better fit for their way of thinking. That Amazon is not going to try and change the way they do business and stuff like that, which implies that Google were.
Well, it's like if they revert everything they did before the sale, then maybe because apparently someone changed what they were thinking.
Oh yeah,
like a week before this happened.
Well, I guess the content stuff that all happened, like that must have been part of their plan anyway. They can't have just dropped that suddenly. It's not something you go, "Hey guys, we need like third-party content matching."
Judging by how well they did it, they seemed like they dropped it pretty suddenly.
Yeah, I don't know. That kind of thing can't be easy to implement.
But they still did it terribly.
This is true. I'm not disputing that.
You'd think if they had Google's help, they'd have at least the people with the most experience doing that shit.
Yeah.
But no.
So, yeah, who knows what that means.
I feel like Amazon are flailing around a bit, with their phone and all that bullshit. I don't think... I mean, I like their idea of doing grocery deliveries. Do you know they're doing that in America?
Yeah, was it Amazon Fresh or something?
Yeah,
it's called,
that seems like a reasonable market for them. But some of the other stuff, like that, the phone stuff device stuff isn't going to work for them that well. I mean, they've got the Kindle, but the Kindle Fire.
I think Google are quite annoyed with Amazon at the moment because of the Kindle segments the Android marketplace significantly.
Yeah.
Like, the stuff about the Kindle store being completely separate from Google Play and that you have to do some real technical bullshit in order to get Google Play store to even load on a Kindle device. And even then, you still probably won't get the app to run. It's like,
dumb,
okay, I can see why Amazon have done it. I absolutely can see that, but it does fuck up that marketplace real bad.
Yes, nicht good. So yeah, I'm sure Amazon have a huge business in there. But the thing is, with the weird thing with their huge retail business is the margins are incredibly tight. Because they sell everything so cheap. So they don't actually make much profit out of it.
But they do by being enormous. Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? That's how they make their money, by being enormous and by being the best. It's like you just out-compete everyone. Yeah.
But I don't see why they're trying to get into games, really. Doesn't seem like a natural...
No, it's a strange thing. It's like, unless they're really trying to push Kindle in a way that no one really expects coming, like perhaps they're going to do more with that platform, or as I say, or your suggestion about going into Gaikai, probably valid. Surely maybe they should buy OnLive. I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, what's going on with OnLive?
I have no idea. I haven't heard from them for a while.
But I'm just saying it would be a good fit with all their cloud infrastructure. They've got data centers up the yin yang. Literally, probably.
Yep,
is that a river? I don't know.
I would assume so.
What else we got? Well, we sort of touched on it earlier, but there was a shit ton of DDoS attacks, speaking about infrastructure and stuff like that. PSN naturally went down.
Well,
Xbox Live went down, but Microsoft didn't confirm what the cause of that was. Whether that was part of the DDoSing or something else. And I think a number of other gaming services, I'm not sure if Steam was affected, but I think a number of other services were having problems. Like, it seemed to affect, like, generally the gaming community suffered a massive DDoS.
Well,
and presumably this is in response to Gamergate and all that crap.
I don't know about that. But probably coincidentally, but in a similar vein to weird things happening with the internet breaking, was when I was playing Team Fortress the other night, and then for some reason I couldn't see Luxembourg any longer.
Oh yeah.
Like I was playing Team Fortress and all the Valve servers are in Luxembourg. So it disconnected me, and I was like, well, I can see all the other servers, so that's weird. So then I went out of the game and into a web browser and tried a speed test, and I tried to ping servers in Luxembourg, and I couldn't see any of them. It's like, oh no, Luxembourg is gone.
What happened to Luxembourg?
What
Luxembourg
if
got
the
nuked?
first that knew? Yeah, what if Zach was the first person to notice that Luxembourg no longer exists?
Yeah, like everywhere else worked fine. Like France and Denmark, I can ping them all right. That's not Luxembourg.
I love that you went to the effort to try.
It was really weird.
I've got no segue for that.
No
segues
from Luxembourg.
What we got? Let's talk PS4 stuff for shit moments. I guess that's sort of shit moments. Yeah, shit news. Beyond Two Souls is going to get a PS4 version.
That's definitely a shit moment.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what that looks like.
Well, it depends whether they can be bothered to do that.
Yeah,
it's not going to look that different. I wouldn't have thought.
No, I guess not. They might. I don't know. It depends. They probably didn't capture. Depends if it's recent enough that maybe they still have all the raw files and can do a complete.
But do they want to?
Yeah, do they want to? Like, how much value is there in there? Beyond was a very middlingly received game.
Yep.
And I fit in that category perfectly.
You're very middling.
I'm very middling. It's the exact description. It's like, if I'm at a job interview, it's like, so why do you think you'd be good for this company? Well, because I'm middling. It's middling. You don't want any superstars. You've got those. It's like, you need a guy that's grounded. Will occasionally fuck up and show you what's real, man.
You need that in an employee, someone to show you, keep you grounded in reality by fucking up constantly.
Not constantly, just
occasion when you're not expecting it. What happened, Rob? I'm fucked up. Sorry.
Oh, that's all right. That's what we're here for. That's what you're here for.
Oh, yeah, of course. I forgot you're middling, aren't you?
That's on my badge.
Probably a middling manager.
Yeah, I'm middling management. Yeah. That's great. Other PS4 news. You remember that like Hyrule Warriors shit that's going down for the Wii U, where like they're merging Zelda with Dynasty Warriors?
Yep.
Right.
Well, Dynasty Warriors don't think that's enough, and so they're doing a crossover with PS4.
No, I think
for Dragon Quest.
Crossover.
Yeah, okay, my notes didn't quite work there, but they're doing a crossover of Dragon Quest from Square as a PS4 exclusive.
That should have already happened.
Maybe
because Dragon Quest is like Dragon Quest will put their shit into anything in Japan.
This is true, and they're calling it Dragon Quest Heroes.
Well, okay.
So yeah,
they're not even calling it like Dragon Quest Warriors.
Dynasty Warriors 4. I bet me wonders, right, if it will be the same game, just reskinned.
Well, I mean,
as Hyrule.
That is basically what Hyrule Warriors is, and every other Dynasty Warriors game.
No, but I mean to the point, like really badly, where it's just like it's literally just copy and paste of the like the levels and everything. Just like and even the movesets, they've just put different skins on everything.
That would be weird.
Because how much can they really churn out? Well, I guess it's the same game, so a lot.
Yep.
Dynasty Warriors 8, is it? Like, officially?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, okay. Brilliant. Sort of started heading in the Nintendo direction with that one. There's a new 3DS coming.
Fuck them.
This is weird. This is super weird, because, like, it's not just a new form factor for the 3DS, it's actually a new hardware revision. In the sense that it's more powerful than the existing 3DS. And like just to keep everything super confusing, as if they hadn't had enough problems with the Wii and the Wii U, they're calling this new 3DS.
Yep.
Oh, of course they are.
Well, the thing is...
that works so well for the new iPad and all that shit.
Oh, man. It's like, come on, Ninty, like... You fucking blind to your own marketing problems?
Basically, surely what's going to happen is this is just going to be exactly like the N64 expansion pack.
Pretty much.
Where you'll have like games that just run shit on the old 3DS.
Well, they've already announced games that will only run on the new machine.
Well, yeah, and there was games that only ran with the expansion pack on the N64.
Yeah.
Like perfect. Yeah, true. Just about run without it, didn't it, or something? Or what
no! You could only play a limited version of the multiplayer.
Oh, right, okay.
If you didn't have the expansion pack. Yeah. Like, the single player was completely locked out, I believe, and most of the options for multiplayer were locked out. And and was it one of the Zelda? Was it Majora's Mask you needed the expansion pack for?
Yeah. Yeah. You needed it, yeah, I think. Yeah.
So yeah, they basically fucked up again.
Yeah, that's a shit idea. I mean, it's like, I don't have a problem with them coming up with a new and more powerful 3DS, but call it something slightly more obvious.
It does technically have 2 analog sticks, technically.
Well, yeah, that
you can call the other one an analog stick.
What is with that weird fucking nub?
Well, it's like a laptop nub, basically.
Yeah. I don't know, it might work, but it's weird. There's a weird location for it.
Well, the control that I think is not going to work is they've added, like, L2 and R2.
Oh, yeah. There's ZL.
But they're like further along the back of the top than the already shoulder buttons are. It's like, how are you going to reach those? Because the 3DS is fucking gigantic.
Oh, you have a regular 3DS as well?
No, I haven't.
Oh, you have an XL. Yeah. Okay. What is it? And they've called the new one the LL, haven't they?
No, I think that was wasn't that a reference to something else at some point?
No, I think
they called that.
No, I think the new 3DS large one is called the LL.
That's just Japanese. The LL means XL. In Japanese, yeah.
Okay. What they say, large or something, or
well, I don't know what
they say. Something in Japanese.
Large one.
Yeah, yeah. So that's perfectly. It will be at the XL 3DS XL again. The new 3DS XL, right?
But all they said was more CPU power. I would like them to have more pixels because those screens are they're not bad quality, but man, pixel density is fucking weak.
They didn't have enough CPU power to make that many pixels to start with. It ran like shit in 3D.
I guess, yeah. And this version of the 3DS will also have NFC, so they can support their Amiibo campaign across multiple devices, I guess. Makes sense, I guess.
What I'm wondering is because the XL is clearly, the current XL is clearly superior to the original
it's the
3DS.
comfortable form factor, yeah.
I don't know about that.
I don't know, I can't see my hands wrapping around
It's got bigger screens, that's all that matters.
Well, yeah, I suppose we're making the 3D. Oh, they talked about the 3D viewing angle being a lot better.
Well, no, it's got actual active technology, doesn't it? Where it
it's
actually
like face tracking.
It tracks your eyes with the camera, and then it adjusts the lenticular. So
That's
that
awesome.
gives you actual
In theory,
proper.
it's awesome.
I haven't seen that technology in use for like 5 years. Like I saw a prototype of some screen, a monitor that would do it at IBC. Must have been 4 or 5 years ago, and it was amazing.
Yeah,
like, it really worked.
That. So that's cool because that means because currently you have to hold it pretty precisely if you want the full 3D effect.
Yeah.
So I mean, if they manage to get this tracking right, then it'll be a lot more relaxing to play your 3DS game in 3D. Cool. So that's cool. I'm quite looking forward to that. I'm just wondering whether if I were to get one, would I get the XL one? Assuming they come out next year, for example.
Yeah. There's a possibility I might start doing, or might start needing to, like, go to my office, which is like 2 hours away more frequently. But
your actual office, not your upstairs office.
Not my upstairs office, no. And like in that scenario, I may need to, like, my work offers the ability to sort of like stay nearby or something like that. And it's at that point I may need to start thinking about getting a portable device to like keep me entertained. So maybe
when you run out of iPad games,
fuck iPad games because they're not great. There's nothing really I want to play on there. Maybe I will get round to playing The Room in 3s.
You can play The Room on PC though.
Can you?
It's coming out on PC.
Oh shit! Yeah.
Problem solved.
Yeah. Well, I don't need my fucking iPad then. So yeah, maybe this will.
Well, maybe this will be good for me in that you guys will actually get 3DS. And I'll be like, yeah, fuck Street Fighters, woo!
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, possibly.
But then Vita's a great place at the moment to play indie games.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all it's good for. Don't expect any like big budget games or anything on it. Just get like.
I don't really want that. Indie is better.
Yeah.
And you can get a lot of the indie games that are good on other platforms anyway. Relatively speaking.
That's true.
Can you play shit like Super Meat Boy on Vita? Like, what can you play on Vita?
Rogue Legacy is the one that comes to mind. Right. Spelunky, SteamWorld Dig.
Yeah, all those games that you can get on other platforms.
Yeah, things that
you can even get SteamWorld Dig on the 3DS if you want.
Oh, can you? Yeah. Things that came out on PC,
right?
And indie styled, you can probably get on Vita, no trouble.
Fez. I don't know.
Well, not Fez.
No, I don't think they've done a portable version of Fez.
Well, it's because they were locked down to the Xbox, and then they had that whole issue with it running on that very specific.
They made a
engine.
PS3 version.
Yeah, that was after they fixed the engine, though, wasn't it?
Well,
when they ported it to PC as well.
They ported it to mono, I think.
Yeah.
But
that whole problem.
Right, yeah.
And then
mono probably hasn't been.
Phil Fish was like, "Fuck this noise," basically.
Yeah. Mono probably hasn't been designed to work for Vita. That would be my logic.
Probably.
I'd play a game called Fuck This Noise that came from Phil Fish.
Noise.
I mean,
that sounds like a game that probably should already exist.
Yeah, probably. They made a Fuck This Noise joke in Super Time Force. They said they couldn't say fuck, so they said something else that I can't remember.
Plow.
They probably plow. Yeah.
Plow this noise. Oh, dear.
More Nintendo news. Mario Kart 8 DLC is coming. And it actually looks pretty goddamn cool.
Tons of courses, right?
Yeah. I mean, all right. So the biggest... All right. What does this actually mean? Like, there are 2 packs coming. One released in November, one released in May.
He's been dead for ages. Okay.
2 packs coming, man.
2 packs coming to Mario Kart. Can't wait.
He's going to death stare you. Him and Luigi are just going to have a death stare off. And then one of them...
Bring that double dash mechanic so they can both be in the same car.
Look, what's going to happen is Luigi is going to die and then posthumously release #1 albums.
Yep. Every year. Yeah.
As we discover his secret talent for being a proper gangster rapper.
Clearly.
So it's there's 2 packs coming out, 2 DLC packs, and they each have 3 playable characters, 4 new kart models, and 4 new tracks.
4 new tracks.
Which means there's a grand total of 16 new tracks going, which is 50% of Mario Kart 8, or
double
if you want to consider it, 100% of Mario Kart 8's new content.
You just did some fail maths.
Did I?
Yeah, you said each pack had 4 new tracks, and then you said, that's 16! I think you meant 8.
Did I fucking get that? Oh, yeah. Sorry.
You meant 2 new cups with 4 tracks each.
Yes.
2 packs. Make 16 tracks.
Yes.
Oh, cool.
Yes, that's right.
Maths!
Yeah. Sorry. But still, that's a lot of game.
That's a lot of tracks.
That's a lot of game. And, best bit of all, and this is the bit that I find kind of surprising, the price is ultra reasonable.
Ultra reasonable.
The best bit of all, they still cost money. They're not free.
Well, no. But
yeah.
That's the best thing.
As far as DLC packs go, I mean, look, if you look at recent history of things like COD and Titanfall, where it's like, what, nearly 10 quid for 3 maps or something.
Yeah.
Like, it's £11 for both packs.
It's just because Nintendo doesn't now know what the price of DLC is yet. They haven't learned.
I don't fucking care. It's awesome. Everyone else should learn that this is how much you should charge for DLC.
That's cool, man.
I mean, that to me sounds like that's a sweet spot for me, because it's not dirt cheap. It's not like a couple of quid.
They are cheaper if you buy them together, so that is a discount.
Yeah, it's like, but even then it's £14 if you buy them separately. They're £7 each. And even then, that's a pretty good deal. I don't know. That feels quite good.
Not quite as good as the good old days of Wipeout Pure, where they pretty much doubled the size of the game for free.
True.
But still, that was bizarre even then.
Yeah. Well, it's because they
also bizarre.
It's because it was like advertising promoted, wasn't it? It's like they tried it in a different way. It's like, oh hey, we'll have a whole load of courses sponsored by Puma.
Oh right, I don't even remember that advertising being that prominent.
It wasn't very prominent, no, because it was like billboards on the track. But
right, yeah. Oh yeah.
2142.
So it was a.
What happens if you go into 2142 now? What adverts do you see?
They just have EA stuff.
Really?
The last adverts I saw that were actual adverts were like for some film.
Oh yeah. Some film that didn't really get any coverage anywhere else. Man, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, that was.
I remember lots of ads for Pentium 4 at one point.
Yeah, there was quite a few of those. And they kind of had that in Battlefield 3, didn't they?
Did they?
On like the bus shelters, they had adverts on them for a while.
Did they? I never noticed.
Well, they probably were just like Pentium adverts or whatever, like the kind of generic, boring adverts that you'd expect them to put in any game mode.
Yeah, I never noticed.
I'm fairly sure that was the case.
That
was also a long time ago.
Like, for some reason, my only memory of like adverts or like fake adverts in those Battlefield games are like fake perfume things where there's just some picture of a woman, like just not doing anything.
A woman.
Like just a face, just a lady's face.
Okay.
Like filling up the entire bus shelter. I don't know. So yeah, I haven't bought it yet, but I'm really tempted because that's kind of cool, and
you should definitely get that stuff. Why not?
It sort of makes sense for Nintendo, doesn't it? Because like they only ever release like one version of each of their games per console, generally speaking. Like there'll be one Mario Kart per generation, there'll be one Smash Brothers per generation. There'll be one style of proper Mario game, although they've sort of broken that rule, I guess, with like that now they have new Super Mario Brothers and they have their mainline Mario games. But
not that we know what the mainline Mario games are going to look like this generation.
Well, do you count World?
So
do you count 3D World? Or is there 3 types?
Or is there 3 types? Yeah. Maybe I did count that.
So like DLC like sounds like Nintendo's master plan, I guess.
Could work.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of cool. Link is in it.
But surely if DLC was Nintendo's master plan, then we wouldn't have had new Super Mario World 2 and Luigi U or whatever. Because all that could have been DLC. Wasn't the
Super Luigi U is technically DLC.
Yeah, it is technically,
but you can also buy it as a disc.
They still release it as a disc, so it's not actually DLC. It's just you can also buy it digitally.
Yeah, I think it's cheaper if you buy it as DLC than if you try and buy the disc version.
Yeah,
which is again sort of breaking tradition, I guess. There, but
I don't really mind when they put DLC into a disc at a later point or whatever, like Undead Nightmare or whatever. They sold that as a disc. I seem to remember.
Oh yeah, like the Game of the Year edition. So.
Yeah, and the GTA 4 DLCs they put together eventually and sold as a disc. It's like, yeah, whatever.
But yeah, it's fine. But normally they come out at a comparable price.
Yeah, definitely.
Not like the crazy difference that like Luigi U I think is charged as a full price game.
Yeah.
But if you buy it as an add-on digitally, it's like £15 or something.
Yeah,
so that doesn't make a great deal of sense.
So yeah, no. Nintendo basically don't know what they're doing yet. So
no,
you have to hope that the prices will remain as reasonable as they supposedly are.
They're obviously experimenting in waters they're not used to. And speaking of other sort of downloadable content confusion on Nintendo platforms, Bayonetta 2, it's a bit weird, right? So they have always said from the start that Bayonetta 2 will come with the original Bayonetta.
Yep.
And that got clarified relatively recently that the original Bayonetta won't be on the disc, but it will be a download code that you'll just get. Presumably forcing you to go through like Club Nintendo, I guess, as they normally do, make you fill out some shit survey, and then they'll give you a code. That all fits in with what Nintendo has done before, except not in the EU. In the EU, there will be multiple variants of the game released, of which I think a couple, like 2 out of 3 editions will get the code, but one of them will not.
What? Okay.
Yeah. So they've essentially like taken what everyone now, like I guess, accepts as read and sort of gone, nope, actually the base version of the game won't have it.
That's not actually a problem, providing they label it.
No, but it's just a bit of a shitter, isn't it? Like, this isn't happening in America yet, or they haven't announced it in America yet.
And also, have they said if there'll be any price difference due to that?
No, they haven't come out and said anything about that, as far as I'm aware. But still, it's weird. It's like, why specifically say the EU are getting these versions?
I don't know. The whole game's weird. Everything's weird.
Well, yes. Bayonetta itself is kind of bizarre, but
yeah, it's very weird.
But the fact that they were, they've always said that the original Bayonetta is going to be a part of it, just made it kind of a nice value add, especially for someone like me who's never played the original.
So without it, it's cheaper. It still will be. You just won't perceive it that way any longer.
You might be right, but it depends what the edition. If the editions have different prices, and it's like, and the edition with Bayonetta 2 is like, I don't know, 15 quid more or something, then I might as well just borrow Dan's copy of Bayonetta on the 360.
Sure.
But but in the original version, it's like I wouldn't have had this worry about spending. Nintendo, in effect, have probably just like got themselves out of 15 quid. I don't know.
Yes, I guess that is technically true for your situation.
Yeah. Any more news?
You missed a bit.
Have I missed a bit? What did I miss? Oh yeah,
second thing on your
list.
Oh
yeah. How could I forget this? Oh god. Have you ever thought that Tekken would be improved by the addition of Pokemon?
Well, have you ever thought, why is there not a Pokemon fighting game that isn't Smash Bros?
Well, yes, we have. We've said that regularly. We've said that repeatedly.
Well, surprised there is one.
The creators of Tekken are making a Pokemon fighting game, and they've called it Pokken.
Pokken.
Well, maybe they've called it
Pokken.
That could be a weird Japaneseism or something that hasn't been modified yet.
Maybe. I thought the trailers that they've released sort of said Pokken in them.
But even that doesn't mean anything at this point. It's probably quite early in development, I imagine.
So that's interesting.
Right.
Maybe.
Although is it like a full-on Tekken-like fighting game, but with Pokemon?
It kind of looks like it, yeah. Like full 3D.
But it makes it even even more of an annoyance to the argument of like, why are all these goddamn Pokemon in Smash Bros? Now they even have their own game that they can just fill with Pokemon.
Yeah. I know, it's nice to see. In a way, it's nice to see Nintendo like sort of rekindling their relationship with Namco, because good things happen when that. When
we already got Pac-Man. I mean, come on, that's as much relationship as they need.
The last time, I suppose rekindle is a bad word. They Namco have been putting out those Mario Kart arcade games for them, and they did work with them on the F-Zero AX cabinet and that kind of stuff. It's not like this is the first time they've worked with Namco, but
what else is Namco even doing nowadays?
No, exactly. What
There's not really anything for them to get out of Namco.
Given that Tekken Cross Street Fighter doesn't seem to be a thing, and this is probably what that team have been working on instead.
Yeah. Right. Well, good to know. Pokken.
Yeah. I actually think that's a pretty cool name.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Pokken might be the better way of saying it.
Probably that would be. It's like if it has the accent on the E or the O. Wait, is there an accent on the E or the O?
The E, isn't it?
Yeah, Poke.
Yeah.
So it'd be Pokken.
Pokken.
Okay.
It's like cocaine, but for Pokemon.
Okay.
Cocaine.
And on semi-related fighting games and also Smash Bros. That we've already mentioned news.
Oh, yeah. As a result of that leak.
The rumour, anyway.
Yeah.
It's like, so Shulk, which is the worst fucking game name. Who came up with that shit? Shulk. It's pronounced more like Luke, though, so it's like Shulk.
I want to hear the announcer say this.
Yeah. You can watch the
Mario
announcement.
Wario. Shulk.
And he also has a weird, English accent.
Yeah, it's a very... I thought it was South African.
It might be. I mean, it's a weird English accent.
Yeah, it's not quite English. It's not quite Australian. It's not really quite South African, but it seems to be closer to that.
So he was announced, which makes that rumoured leaked thing
somewhat legit. Yeah.
So it's like, is Duck Hunt coming?
Yeah.
I can only fucking hope. Come on.
Really?
Although then I was thinking, if I was a real bastard and I had this leaked information and then I wanted to make everyone think it wasn't real, then I'd edit out one of the characters and put a fake one in. Just
maybe,
one.
Maybe, yeah. No, we can only fucking hope. But it's the immediate response I've seen to this is, oh good, they put another fucking sword wielding character that has a counter move. And
he looked like he probably plays like most of the other sword wielders.
Yeah, it seems like a really lazy character.
And everyone was
apart from his mode switching.
Well,
which seems
that depends how annoying that is to do.
Probably really.
Yeah.
Fucking trying to switch Okami's power in Marvel vs. Capcom.
Or Zelda.
Yeah.
Down and B.
Yeah.
So how many have they got left to reveal?
Link and Soul Calibur.
Well, according to the rumoured leak thing, I guess there's Duck Hunt and...
Dark Pit hasn't...
Yeah, Dark Pit and... Well, Dark Pit was semi-announced in the trailers, and then Dr. Mario.
Oh, yeah.
You can even call that a separate character, really.
And what about what's the deal at the end of that trailer anyway, where something is just Shulk?
That's probably just from some reference to Xenogears that we don't know.
Yeah. Is it Xenogears or is it Xenoblade Chronicles?
Xenoblade.
Yeah.
Something. Xeno fucking something.
Xeno something.
We don't know anything about that.
No.
So he's just going to be another sword dude.
But it's a popular franchise, so It's not a Nintendo thing, it has to be said, because it isn't developed by Nintendo, and Nintendo have no input on this. It's another one of their sort of crossovers, but Nintendo were obviously the guys that helped get it published on Wii, and
right.
And there's a new one coming, isn't there? Xenoblade Z or something, or Xenoblade X or something that's coming to Wii U.
There's something with an X in it.
Yeah, it's got a letter at the end of its name. So I think Nintendo are at least their publisher for now.
I mean, in theory, there's probably isn't that many more Smash Brothers characters to announce because the game fucking comes out quite soon. Well, unless there's the exclusive characters for the Wii version.
They still haven't officially revealed the release date, but all indications are pointing towards start of December
for the Wii one.
For the Wii version, yeah.
Because the 3DS one's practically out.
I guess, yeah.
So that kind of sucks, really. Because that's not actually a very good list of characters, is it? When you look at that, the full list, where it's just
I don't fucking care, Captain Falcon's back.
Well, that's true.
And Pac-Man's in it.
But it's like, why? Why would you have Marth and Lucina and Robin's practically the same and Shulk and Ike? It's like, Jesus Christ, guys, come on!
I don't care, it's going to be more Smash Bros.
Yeah. But where's all the cool characters? Where's Mr. Game & Watch?
That's a good point. Where is Mr. Game & Watch?
He's in that rumour screen.
Oh, okay.
So
is he?
Maybe Mr. Game & Watch.
I didn't think they'd bring him back. Was he in the last one?
Yeah, he's been in the last two.
Well, since he was introduced, he's been in it.
Well, yeah, but he's been there. They haven't dropped him yet. Falco's not back.
No.
And neither's Wolf, because, I don't know, they're basically Fox.
Fucking Lucina's basically Marth.
Yeah.
God damn it.
It's weird how they're sort of inconsistent like this, isn't it? It's like, everyone knows that Falco and Wolf were a bit like Fox, but then there now seem to be a lot of characters in the Fire Emblem vein.
Yeah, they made a big deal of, like, get rid of the clones, and then it's like, no, we're bringing back the clones. I mean, Dr. Mario, for Christ's sake, if that turns out to be true.
Depends what Mario's moveset is, because they sort of tried to separate him in the past, didn't they? Like, by adding Flood to
by giving him a move that no one ever uses ever.
Yeah.
Which one's that?
They replaced his down B spin attack move with Flood, where you charge it up and then it shoots water, but it doesn't actually do any damage, it just pushes people back. Making it completely fucking useless.
And then Luigi still had that?
The down B spin,
Yeah.
So Luigi was almost better in that respect.
Well, Luigi had the better side B as well.
Oh, yeah. Luigi's side B move is awesome. Like just the headbutt rocket. Whatever the fuck you want to call that.
Yep.
Smash Brothers, man. Come on.
Yeah. I still don't know what to do technology-wise, what to spend money on. It's a difficult problem now.
PS4 is still so quiet.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. There's not like we're nearly a year.
No. I mean,
the PS.
Yeah. I'm not saying.
I'm just sort of saying my 2 cents. PS4 doesn't seem like a good purchase right now.
Yeah, it might not be the best timing for it. I still think in the long run it has a good shout, but
yeah, I think what will happen is we'll see what will happen to PS4's game library. The same thing that happened to the PS3s, and that it will have a kind of a last stand almost, where suddenly it has a run of real quality stuff.
Yeah. Well, you know,
I mean, it's always been steady, I suppose, but you know, the PS3 did really start getting a lot better towards the end of its life cycle.
I don't think the Xbox One has tons on it this coming season, does it? I guess they've both got Destiny.
I don't know.
Right?
Like everything I want is like on Xbox coming out. It's like you know, pretty much. There's Destiny, but the PS4 version is probably the one to get for that. Sunset Overdrive. You've got COD, which is always Forza Horizon 2, Halo Edition, Master Chief Collection.
Forza Horizon 2 Halo.
Play that shit. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so all of those I'm interested in. Ori
Sunset Overdrive
is Xbox
going to be
exclusive.
good? Is it going to be really good?
No idea. It's different. Colour me interested.
Okay. Anyway, I just mean in general because, like, I kind of want to get, like I've been saying, a bigger screen, but then I need a bigger graphics card to play stuff on PC, and also then I no longer can run. Say I had a console plugged into. I currently have a 1080p screen, so I could plug an Xbox into it. I get like full native res. If I start plugging a Wii U into like a giant screen, it's going to look a bit shitty in comparison. So I have to plug it into the TV,
fine.
and then
I mean, you know, I have my Wii U attached to my screen. It looks fine.
Yeah, but your screen is. I mean, yeah, that's the difference because your TV is 1080p, even if it's enormous. Whereas I'm talking about a higher res computer monitor, like a 1440p one. So I'd be doing some scaling if I plugged, if
anything,
an Xbox
it should
One.
look better, shouldn't it? Because that's exactly 2-to-1.
Oh yeah, maybe. Well, yeah, but it won't output in 720, will it?
Wow, it will do something to the signal, presumably. I don't know how that would be up to your telly or monitor and how it manages that.
Well, I know the monitor will take an HDMI input, but if the Wii U spits out, for example, or the Xbox spits out 1080, then it's not 2-to-1. It's
no, it's kind of a crap ratio.
Yeah, it's a crap ratio. So that's a problem. I mean, the only
but
way
not many games are actually 1080 at the moment.
No. So so you get a horrible situation potentially where you're upscaling your 720p frame to 1080p and then putting it onto the cable, and then when it gets out of the cable, it then gets upscaled again. That might not be so good.
Did you connect it to one of your 1080 screens and have your 1440 for something else?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. But like, I'm going to run out of space on my desk if I do this shit. I don't know. Anyway, first world problems, to say the least.
Totally.
Jesus. Anyway, so I might just save everything and wait.
Save everything.
Because actually a 1440p screen would be really nice, especially connect to this laptop. I could do lots of cool work and stuff with it, and it looks super sweet compared to the crappy old TN panels. But the trouble is, with the game stuff, you need the bigger graphics card and everything. But what was I going to... Oh, yeah. What I want to do is get a 1440p screen that has the frickin' adaptive sync business on it.
The G-Sync stuff.
The open G-Sync standard stuff. Because they put adaptive sync into DisplayPort version 1.2a, so it'll be an actual standard. So it won't be proprietary to NVIDIA.
I've heard the phrase adaptive sync used is just to convey whether or not V-Sync is on or off on the fly, not the whole G-Sync total frame synchronization thing.
Well, it is the same thing now.
It's the same thing now, okay.
Yeah, well, yeah, because what happened was they AMD struck back with FreeSync, right? FreeSync, right. But now it's been adopted as a standard by VESA, VESA, the video standards people, and it's as part of DisplayPort, and it's called adaptive sync there. So I think that's the. So
it's not getting fudged into HDMI, or
no, I don't think so.
Does HDMI not support it? Or?
Well, HDMI won't go above 1080 very often unless in the current standard, I don't think. So HDMI is not that is relevant, but I don't think it has to do with HDMI standard. I think it's in the DisplayPort standard, which is becoming the standard for monitors.
Sure, you'd need a new fairly super card to support DisplayPort properly.
Well, my card is 3 years old or whatever, and it has a DisplayPort output.
Really?
But,
wow.
Yeah.
Mine has HDMI and DVI.
Mine's weird because it has.
Sure if mine does have DisplayPort or not. I think it might.
It probably does because it's the small connector, so there's more space for it. My one is weird because it has two DVI ports, an HDMI port, and a display port. But what you can't do is plug one HDMI and two DVI into it because it most cards only have two outputs. Yeah, so in order to run three monitors, which is what I currently do because I plug my TV in by HDMI, is you have to use one of the DVI heads, and then you need a converter. Well, I do currently. I need an active converter, so I plug that into the display port and then convert that to DVI for my other monitor. That's the way I currently do it.
Wait, so you're using one card to power three things?
Yeah. So I don't
most cards really just don't support that. They only actually have two channels that they can output to at any one time.
But now
because I've played with that in the past.
Yeah, so I use three because what I do is I have two monitors. And then my TV's on the other side of the room, but I just have a very long HDMI cable. And whenever I want to watch TV, I just turn that on. I go into the display settings and turn on the other screen. And then, and it also does the audio or whatever. But, but I'm not sure if my graphics card would be powerful enough to, because it's currently a 1080p screen and an old 1280 by, a 4x3. What was that? 1280 by 1024 thing.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. And then the 1080p TV. But if I swap out one of them for the giant 1440p monitor, I don't think that's going to... Well, it might work. I was Googling it today, and I think it might just work straight out. But anyway, I certainly won't be playing games at 1440p on this ancient graphics card. Well, it's not ancient, but it's old now. So I'd have to get a new one. Anyway... stuffs, but it would be cooler to have the adaptive sync because then I think if I got a new top of the line graphics card, I could run, games coming out right now like Assassin's Creed Unity. I could probably run just about at 60 on the 1440p with the right top whack graphics card, but that's not going to last, is it? Let's face it. So it'd be nice to have that adaptive sync so that it looked cool even when it was running at 45 frames per second. Or 40-ish.
I mean, that's sort of the advantage of having a high frame rate monitor anyway, like that I don't see half of that.
Yeah. But you still get that tearing sometimes. Like,
I don't really get tearing. It's not tearing that's the problem, it's micro stutter. As a result of the frames not being delivered perfectly in time.
Yeah. Anyway, so I might continue to wait. And the other thing is, should I just buy a console, right? But then it's like, well, I could if I keep my crappy monitor. Well, it's not crappy, it's all right for now. Then I can plug any. I don't think I'm using the HDMI port on it, so I can plug any new console into it. I'd need to work out the audio situation. I think I have a problem there. Anyway, we've discussed this before, haven't we?
I was about to say, if you have a surround amp, then you can just use optical.
Yeah, that would be cool. I don't know. I use an old-fashioned hi-fi amplifier.
Then again, most modern surround sound amps will take an HDMI input and will deal with it.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, mine doesn't, but...
Yeah, if you've got a modern one. I don't know. I don't know what the situation is. I'll have to evaluate. But it's all good. Technology. And then there's the iPhone announcement next week. And I'm due for a new one, but I've seen leaked photos of it. It doesn't look very pretty, particularly.
Have you seen, I think Samsung Galaxy Edge or something?
Right. Probably not, because...
I don't know if this was real or just some fake announcement or something, but it sounds like there's going to be a tablet or a large phone with one of those sort of curved screen ideas on one edge, where there will be icons along the edge on a screen.
Yeah.
It's
it's
real
coming
now.
Yeah,
they've already done that kind of thing before, just not with curved screens. Because remember they had that dumb laptop that had a screen that you could configure as buttons on the side.
No,
it's retarded.
Huh.
It's just instead of having buttons actual buttons that you can configure, you just make it a screen where you can have whatever you want there and have it be buttons.
Oh, weird.
It's not a good idea at all. And I doubt having a curved screen with icons along the edge is going to be much good either. It's just a thing that looks fancy but is not actually functionally really useful.
Yeah, I think it's going to be super impractical.
Yeah, I agree with that. Doesn't appeal to me.
The chances for accidental presses seem large.
Really, the whole concept of curved screens is something that looks fancy but is completely practically used. It's when is that ever going to be of any use to anyone ever, apart from the incredibly precise situation where the screen is actually curved to fit your field of view?
I think curved screen technology, the use I see for it is rolling it up.
Yeah,
that's different. That's not just curved. That's
fully flexible.
Yeah.
I did see a Dell screen. I was looking at these 1440p screens, and I did see a Dell screen announcement the other day that is curved, which is 3440 by 1440p. So it's a 21 by 9. So and that's curved.
That's stupid wide.
It's stupid wide, but I mean,
that's film wide, isn't it?
Yeah, it's film wide. But it'd be pretty cool for games, if you could power it, right? Because you get even more immersion,
Oh yeah, if you can power it, man.
Well, it's not as bad as 4K. It's less pixels than 4K. Put it that way.
Sure, but it's still going to be a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah,
probably played Team Fortress on it easily enough.
Yeah, exactly.
Team Fortress on practically anything.
That would look amazing. That's the first thing I'd do: plug in Team Fortress and be like, "Wow!"
But then it's probably our game's going to be just. I don't know. That's the other question. Some games handle wider screens in weird ways.
Well, some games don't have correct field of view programming.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, at least with 1440p, you're at the same, roughly the same aspect ratio as 1080p. Yeah. So I think that might be a safer bet. But then, I don't know, that screen looks cool. And it'd be nice to have just one, because then you could just have just one screen and still have loads of space, and it wouldn't have to be ridiculous 4K where you have to squint to see anything.
Yeah, sure, but then you lose the ability to easily, just full screen things and stuff.
That's true.
That's part of my problem with having, stupidly large screens is, I get used to having.
Well, what you need is for basically a Windows update to let you, because you know how you can drag things to the left or right of the screen and it cuts it down the middle. You just need to be able to configure it.
Yeah.
I still don't
think that's as good. Yeah, but maybe Windows 8 might, or Windows 9 probably now will solve that with they've sort of started moving in that direction with some of their snap functionality in modern UI. But
the thing is, you don't have quite. I'm with Rob kind of because I have that 4:3 screen, and you can full screen a video on that and continue working on the other one. And if you had a giant normal screen, you can't really full half screen a video.
You can't zoom. Well, I suppose the only thing you could try and do is to zoom your browser. I suppose use the zoom control and then hope the flash scales correctly.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't want all the chrome around it. That's
Yeah.
It's quite nice to properly full screen something and not have the video border and everything, which you'd kind of have to have.
Well, here's a sort of technical question because I'm not actually sure how this actually works in terms of browsers. But when you're on YouTube in your internet and you hit the full screen button,
yeah,
it's full screen is literally a thing that's linked to the monitor rather than, because it's not just you couldn't have it somehow configured so that the full screen so it covers the browser. So it's if you shaped your browser window to a certain size, you could have a full screen button.
Oh, well, it sort of is and it sort of isn't. You're halfway there. It's not full screen of old or full screen of games, where it is actually taking over the driver, essentially, and overlaying over the top. It does work in a sort of windowed full screen fashion.
Yeah.
So it's full screening everything, but you could still put, if you push Windows key, you'd probably get your start bar on top of it and stuff like that. But it's not. No, it's unfortunately the Chrome of the browser isn't just disappearing. The whole window is maximizing, and then the Chrome is being removed.
But it's
and it actually might be. In most cases, it might actually just be Flash going into a separate mode. Because I don't know if you if you full screen a video on a different monitor from your start bar. Sometimes you see a Flash panel appear in your start list.
Right.
Flash has taken over, creating this window. That's obviously going to be different for HTML5 stuff, like YouTube. But
it's would that then be a question of a browser update or a Windows update? Which side do you
browser? I would go with browser because there's nothing stopping the browser from just losing its Chrome and full screening within the window space it has. Or even adjusting its window size to fit the video. There's nothing stopping any of that, but Windows isn't stopping that. That's just how those browsers are designed to work. Or it might be the HTML5 player, in fact. The browser probably doesn't actually offer an option to just say go Chromeless right now. It probably only provides an option to say go full screen.
Well, maybe.
It might not be in the standard. For HTML5 players, this would need to filter into some sort of standard, probably. Flash can do whatever the fuck it wants, basically.
I know what you mean.
So really, nice. all they need to do is introduce a full screen within window option, and that's the problem.
Yeah,
because then you can just make the window whatever size you wanted.
I mean, they almost sort of when you turn cinematic mode on YouTube, it's sort of getting there. But you really want. I know what you mean. That would be really nice, actually, if they could achieve. If they could do something like that. You listening, Google?
Of course they are. They're
they listen to everything.
Yeah.
They've already cached this whole conversation in their section.
Cached?
Okay.
It's kind of in it. I gotta admit, I said cached for such a long time.
Really?
Until someone referred to it as a weapons cache, and I'm like, sorry, what? You're paying for stuff with web? No, it's a cache.
It sounds better when you're talking about caching things on the internet. It doesn't sound like caching things.
No, it separates the words nicely. This is my problem with pronunciation. Cache is pronounced cache, but it should be pronounced cache because then it's separate from the word cache.
Yeah.
Nothing is called a cache. Fat pronunciation.
The
you just don't like homophones.
No, I'm not a big fan of homophones, no.
Are you homophonophobic?
Homophonophobic. Homophonophobic, yeah. Be very careful.
Okay, we're done with that conversation.
Yes, what have you been playing, Zach?
Apparently we're done with these.
Yeah. Who wants to start this week? With games!
Well, I've basically got nothing to say for a change. because I've only been playing old stuff again, and not even anything new to say about the old stuff. Apart from, there's just like one tiny thing, because I've been continuing to play Pokémon Mystery Dungeon a lot, and it's like the longer I've played it, the more like the tiny little things that are annoying become more and more apparent the longer you play it.
Admittedly, you have played that game a fucking lot.
Yeah. But it's like the main one that I've noticed is like one of those classic like UI fails where it's like annoyingly for some, well, there's two things. One is that like most of the time you can use L as a substitute for A to page through like text and like selection screens and stuff. But I'm not sure if it is I'm not sure if it only like distinguishes L as A when it's on the top screen and then doesn't let you use it on the bottom screen, or whether it's completely random. But it's just like on some places you can't. So I'm like, oh good, I can just use L. Oh wait, there's a selection window where I have to press yes, so I have to use A for that one specific thing, and then I can go back to L. It's like, that's annoying. And then the other tiny thing that's been annoying me is like the other classic UI fail of sometimes the cursor defaults to a different position of yes or no, just in different locations in the game. Whereas like in this one shop, it's when you're like, do you want to buy this? It defaults to yes. And in this other shop, it defaults to no for no apparent reason.
Oh, that's annoying.
It's like, God damn it.
Yeah, that would be annoying.
So yeah, it's those tiny little UI niggles. And then obviously the big UI niggle of that game is you can't fucking speed up the text.
Oh, yeah.
So every time you're going to a shop, it's like, here comes the 2 panels of text to tell you about this shop before you can get to the bit where you just say yes.
In typical Nintendo fashion.
And it's like every other Pokemon game, as in the actual Pokemon games, has text speed. Just not this one. Boo to them.
Yeah, always have the lightning fast near instant setting.
Yep.
Except for when you really want to listen to the fake jibber jabber of like nearly speech, like the Golden Sun thing.
Yeah.
Or Animal Crossing style.
Yeah. It's like this Mystery Dungeon does have a text typing noise, but it's just like a generic. Yeah. Although it is fun, I find it like interesting in a kind of a weird sort of like lore kind of way to the world, where it's like it only does that when Pokemon are talking. It's like when you're talking, it doesn't have a sound effect for it.
When they did like football results show,
yeah, the typing noise.
Yeah, there's a specific like that tone, wasn't there? It was like
yeah.
Who thought that was a good idea? Because it played all the bloody time.
Well, it was probably like a leftover from CFAX or something.
No. CFAX doesn't make noise.
Well, probably from whatever program they were using. CFAX does make noise if you want it to.
Does it?
Yeah. They had
what?
The pages could play fucking songs if they wanted to.
What?
Maybe that was late CFAX, but
wow, that's news to me. I'd never known that, but yeah, I don't know.
Sure, they played songs, or do you think it just had like a radio over the top of it that was not interactive?
Isn't that the same thing, to be honest?
Well, you're kind of suggesting you could like select it. Yeah, I don't think you could select a song to play.
Select a song. That's not what I said. I said it played music.
You said pages could play the songs, though.
Yeah,
Teletext had a backing track, didn't it, for a while? Like,
yeah. Well, Teletext, yeah, that one definitely did. But yeah, I mean, maybe that sound effect maybe that's even like some even older holdover from like, because you know, fucking everything is about tradition. Maybe it's like, maybe that was like from the ticker tape ages or something. Here comes the football results.
But they don't do that anymore, do they? It's like
I don't know because I haven't watched that specific football program where they do them live.
The Beeb don't do that anymore, though.
But they still have Football Focus on like the early afternoons.
Oh, do they?
So I don't know what they do on that show.
Well, maybe they do. I know Sky Sports don't, but or Sky Sports News, I guess.
The guy who used to read the football results, he died recently.
Yeah, he did. Crew Alexandra, Bill. Halifax, Bill. Every team with a weird name, Bill.
Yeah, definitely. What the hell are we talking about? Oh, what I've been playing.
Yeah.
So apart from that, there's just like a bunch of other stuff that I don't need to talk about. It's like Team Fortress and Guild Wars. And I guess we played Battlefield 4 and Civ. Those are slightly unusual.
Yeah. Battlefield 4, despite all their supposed netcode fixes, still remains a weirdly inconsistent experience.
I know, it looks exactly the same to me.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Still remains a weirdly inconsistent experience, but I've been having a lot of router problems, so I'm not convinced that
it might not have been Battlefield 4 after all.
No.
It might have been just your internet.
But it was super frustrating.
Because fuck that shit. As usual, I was fine.
Yeah. Well, it was great for most of the evening. Just the last half hour or so just went to hell. And it's really irritating because it's one of those problems that you can't really be sure because it doesn't really visualize lag.
Well, okay, there was the one thing that you said, and then I confirmed that they still have never actually fixed, which is like the death cam pop-up of your enemy when they kill you. It still never shows the correct health on there.
Which is really frustrating because you're like, what? But he's still on fucking 100%, and I just unloaded a clip into him, and
but
it's like
he actually isn't.
Yeah.
They've still never actually fixed that bug. Despite I'm fairly sure they said they were trying to fix that at some point, but they just haven't.
Really irritating. I'd rather not know, actually.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, what information do you actually need on that screen? It's just like the picture of where they are.
If it was accurate, I think I'd be okay with it. But just like the fact that it says, yeah, you haven't hurt him, and it's like, fucking what?
Well, it's because they have bullet hit noise, so you know when you're hitting someone in theory, assuming that's even accurate.
Well, I don't think that's been working for me, but like there were so many moments, like the classic netcode problem that you always have, that there's absolutely no way in hell that you just haven't shot this guy, at least with a couple of hits, and yet they somehow have the amount of time to very leisurely swing their view around, and the first shot they fire appears to kill you, and you're like, well, what the fuck was that about? And you're like,
it's random bullet spread hitting you in the head.
It's the classic maybe, but then the game reports headshots, doesn't it? Like,
does, but in a very like tiny, insignificant way, where it's like you'd have to actually pay attention to even notice it.
But it's like, I don't know, the fact that it happened practically every encounter, then you start going, no, that can't be fucking right. Bullet spread can't spread to my head the entire time, right? Right? It's like, so, you get super frustrated with it.
You do.
Well, it's because it's bullshit. I've got the drop on someone and I've just shot him in the back several thousand times and he just goes, what? Boot. And the first shot kills you. And you're like, all the fucking time. That can't be right.
The only thing that was happening to me when I died instantly was that guy with the shotgun, because he was actually...
Oh, yeah, that makes a lot
more efficient.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. If you're getting shot by a shotgun, yeah, fuck it.
It doesn't... That's one of the things in Battlefield where, like, realistically speaking, that doesn't make any sense, because even combat shotguns don't actually do that much damage to, like, a body armored dude, for Christ's sake.
Oh, I guess not. No. Yeah. No, that's true. I guess they wouldn't really have penetration, would they?
No. But it's like in real life shotguns. That's why in real life people don't use shotguns.
No, they're not in the military.
No.
They might, if you're special forces, you might use it. Like,
well, if you're like, they use very specialized shotguns for like door breaching.
Yeah,
exactly.
So that's a very unusual reason to have one.
It's still sort of effective at headshots, though, right?
Yeah, but you wouldn't use that. Yeah, I mean,
well, probably even then, I doubt like you'd probably have to have special ammo, because I doubt buckshot would actually even penetrate a skull very well.
It'd probably mess you up, Zach. I think it would mess you up.
It'd probably tear most of your face off.
Yeah, but still, you'd be better with a rifle, I reckon, for almost all circumstances.
But ultimately, I had a pretty good time with it for the most part, but it just constantly reminds me that Battlefield 3 was a better game.
Yep, that's what I always said.
Yeah.
Although I said about the weapons, and I still haven't ever bothered to actually go back and test that theory.
Well, it's just the unlock tree is shit and way too long, and the map design is generally shit.
Not that there was not completely shit maps in Battlefield.
Oh, no. There were a few, but on the whole, the selection is better.
Yeah.
Didn't EA release another game recently that's like fucking broken? I can't remember what it was. Not exactly like a top tier. Oh, Sims. Like fucking Sims 4 came out. It's not totally. It's sort of broken for some people, and it's
not as bad as
every game is always sort of broken.
Yeah, apparently, and it's like super lacking in content compared to what people are used for used to from The Sims, because each cycle of The Sims is so fucking long that you get like all the DLC, and then a new one comes out, and they're like, "Well, there's nothing here." So I don't
know if everyone gets all the DLC.
I know.
I think people are pissed off about Sims 4 in very specific reasons for removing stuff like swimming pools and
for some reason. But I'm pretty sure
swimming
pools an add-on like. At some point.
To which one?
Yeah, I don't know.
We didn't know anything about Sims Past 2, and even barely then.
No, I haven't heard many good things about Sims 4 from what people have been saying. That's all anecdotal, stuff like that. Carry on.
Okay, good. So yeah, the only other thing was that bit of Civ 5. But I haven't even played the expansion since we got the expansion. So...
Oh man,
Rob still is confused at why he sucks at Civ 5.
Yeah, it's not very transparent at telling you that sort of info.
Well, to be honest,
and my start was fucking awful. In fairness,
well, we tried twice and we got pretty bad starts both times. It's not like I've been doing great as well as I think I would have. I think maybe they actually did do some rebalancing of the early game. I mean, I don't remember what they said they rebalanced.
What, in stuff that came out in Gods and Kings or something?
Well, I mean...
Because we don't have the
last expansion.
Yeah, the big expansion.
But I think, definitely one of the major things that makes me suspect that the early game is just more difficult now is that because of the introduction of faith as a resource for the religion thing, it's like you had buildings that have been respec'd towards the faith tree, and units that are based on, well, not actually units, but so then you've basically got this another layer of currency to worry about.
Yeah, I don't really understand how any of that system plays. Really, it doesn't.
Well, obviously there was the old faith system in the older Civ games, so I'm vaguely familiar with how it works mechanically, but I'm not sure what the point of it is.
Right.
Because, I mean, I think maybe... Because it's not like... Well, it might help you take over enemy cities like culture, like how you can use culture as a...
See, I haven't played the game enough to investigate that trait either, because it's like... To investigate all these different ways of play, you have to be sinking hundreds of hours into it, right?
Well, and you have to be specifically targeting them.
Yeah, because
you choose a Civ that has the right bonuses.
And I have an unfortunate tendency to target what I know. I don't know, gunning for something I don't understand doesn't make a great deal of sense to me. So I always go for science, basically, science and money. Those are the things I can understand.
But it's just because you have this whole. I mean, the faith system, in theory, is basically exactly the same as the culture system, I would say. It's when you have high faith in your cities adjacent to enemy cities, which also take your faith or whatever, you can convert them religiously in theory or whatever. But I think the idea of the reason why you want your faith to spread to the other cities is because there's certain, you can choose what aspects of your faith you have, and there's some of them that are give you bonus for every city that's of that faith, including not your ones.
Yeah, that's pretty powerful.
Well, in theory,
it could be. Yeah,
I just don't. I haven't really worked out what of those bonuses are the most effective. I've looked at it and worked out which bonuses I will never take because they're dumb. Oh look, you can get bonus culture of jungle tiles. Why the fuck would you do that?
The only thing I can really say of note of this playthrough at the moment is that because we're playing it multiplayer, and I had a connection problem.
The computer fucked you up.
In the brief moment the computer had control of my play, it did all kinds of fucking crazy decisions. It changed production in all of my cities to boats, and I already had a fuck ton of boats. And it's I don't need any more boats. There's nowhere for them to go. And so I built a ton of them. I didn't notice, obviously, when I came back, because I thought everything was how it was. And it changed a few of my setups for a few of my cities. It changed where things were going. And it's I came back and I'm every for a few turns after the restart, we were just okay, what the fuck just happened? What's going on? Don't trust the computer player.
No. They always suck.
Not that we're doing very well.
No, I think we've just my Civ is in I thought I was doing okay in the early game, but it seems to have started tailing off, and I think I've just like my Civ had like a big bonus to science at the start, but I think that's like kind of eroded, and now everyone's caught up with me.
Yeah, I've even caught up.
And I don't have enough like production. Basically, I'm in a big load of plains and grassland, so I don't have any hills or anything to get production out of.
It still remains one of those games that, what was it? It was like 12:15, and I'm like, man,
I need to go to bed.
Man, I really need to sleep. Like about 10 to 1, we go, fuck, we really better stop. It's like it's the one more turn thing about that game is unbelievably infectious. It's so hard to put down. But that's the best thing about it. It's like, it's
what if
weird.
I could play that game on my Mac? Is that possible?
I could. Yeah.
Can I use the same licenses I've got if I just install it on Steam?
Probably.
Does it work that way?
Yeah, if it's, or it depends. Does Steam funny about that unless it's on Steam Play, or if it has that moniker, or?
Well, I think now everything that does have the ability should have that.
Okay, cool.
Because in my Steam list, I've got like in Civ 3 and 4, it's got like the Mac versions listed alongside.
Oh, really?
Which is completely retarded.
Oh, that must be the old style.
Yeah, that's the old. Yeah. That's before they introduced the whole Steam Play thing. But Civ 5 definitely has it. Because I tried installing that on Dad's Mac at one point. Because it's the dad game, the universally well-known dad game. Try and get him to play it, but I never did.
I don't really have any dad games. It used to be like Jimmy
Maybe
Wilkins.
we'll play that shit anyway.
It's a great bloody game. It's like, if we could get like more weekends where we just have open days and we can just spend all day playing it and Dan was available, that would be awesome.
Yeah. Well, in theory.
It's a great game. It's like, yeah, you're sat around waiting more often, like in multiplayer occasionally, because it's like, well, maybe I need to think about something, or
you need to fight a million more.
Yeah, or I need to set up some towns specifically for what I'm trying to do right now, and so Zach will have to wait for me, or I'll have to wait for Zach for some reason that I'm not entirely sure about, because you don't know, you don't talk about everything, and it's but it plays at a good enough pace to keep you interested. You just fill the downtime with conversation. It's sort of a great conversation game.
Yeah, I think that would be quite a fun weekend, to be honest, just playing Civ all together,
great,
chilling out. Yeah.
Although you probably need more than one day, wouldn't you? You need like
a few days,
literally all day.
Yeah,
unless you went hardcore.
Oh yeah, 24-hour Civ session. Come on. Yep.
Could do.
And finally, to end what I've been playing segment, except not, it's what I haven't been playing.
No, there's the weekly feature.
Yeah. But this time it's not something I haven't been playing due to like something. Well, okay, there is one thing that I haven't been playing, which I haven't played any more Witcher 2, just because I don't know, I haven't got around to it, I guess.
It's not drawing you in still.
Okay.
Well, no, I don't know. It's like, I don't think I got to the point where it would be able to draw me in.
Right.
Because I only really got out of the tutorial, I suppose. So I haven't reinitiated the plan to play that small. But then the other thing that I haven't been playing due to a totally different reason, and I theoretically will be able to play in the near future, is like, I wasn't playing Planetary Annihilation because it wasn't out, but now it's out. So
it's like out of early access.
Yeah. They've decided to call it 1.0, supposedly.
It's out, yeah.
So now I can legitimately play it.
Oh shit! That means it's like actually a game we have to consider this year. That's what happens.
Yeah, I guess. I don't think Starbound's going to make it to out.
No, not a chance.
They have laid out their roadmap for 1.0, and then it's like the way that they put up this like JPEG of like, here's the tech tree. It's like, here's the tech tree for 1.0 of how it's going, how you're progressing. Where it's like, here's your starting, and then you get a pickaxe, and then you, and then so I looked at it, and it's like, well, that's how the game works now. There's absolutely nothing actually new there.
They're weird.
They are the thing that is different from the last time I played. That they are changing is basically, they're making it so that the environmental effects of the planets is linked to the progression. So it's like you have to research the ability to survive on cold planets and hot planets and airless planets and toxic planets.
Oh, I see.
So that's actually going to be part of the progression.
Is it actually going to be what you wanted by the time 1.0 comes out then, looking at this thing? It's like, is it actually really going to be beat Terraria?
Well, I don't think it's going... I think they...
Terraria?
I don't know, they seem bogged down in, like, very specific things and not enough generating content. So it's like, I think when it gets to 1.0, it'll be like it was last time I played it, but it will just work.
Oh, okay.
But it won't have anything more to it.
Right.
Right.
Not being in that space, that sounds a little disappointing.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, they are adding some new content that's specifically linked to, like, the story progression, where it's, like, specially crafted dungeons, basically, that lock off your progression, where you have to, like, it will be a specific layout, and there'll be specifically spawned NPCs, and you have to work your way through this level, basically.
Oh, okay. That could be interesting.
So it won't all be randomly generated.
Yeah.
But yeah, it doesn't seem like they're going to have... It doesn't seem like they're going to have time to add any more content, it's basically, because they've got this big list of things that they need to do, and it's like, well, when is this game ever going to come out at this point?
Yeah. Time is passing. Not very much to say about it.
No. It's not going to make it out this year. Maybe next year. That's only like 4 years after they said it was going to come out.
So, yeah.
Oh, maybe. I can't actually remember when they said it was going to come out. A long time ago.
It feels like a long time.
The other annoying thing about it for me is that they're only updating the nightly builds branch now. So they haven't done a stable update since the last time I played.
Mm.
And they haven't done an unstable update for quite a while. So it's now only nightlies, which naturally are the most unstable.
Right. So are these the ones that just get pushed out to Steam?
Yeah, they just auto-push them every day.
Mm.
And it's just like, well... Some of the new stuff sounds interesting, but I'm not going to fuck around with it nightly. I'd quite like at least one more stable build before you get to this nebulous endpoint in 2015, maybe.
Yeah.
But I don't. It's like they're not thinking about it like that anymore.
No, of course, but because
now they're just auto pushing nightlies. They're like, yeah, we're updating the game.
Well, no, but this might actually be more useful to them as it stands, because it's like, if they're trying to iron out everything, it's like actually having the game in whatever state it's in is more convenient for them.
In theory, it's good for testing, I guess, but arguably they're getting a lot less testing because not everyone wants to put up with it being completely broken all the time.
Yeah, it's an interesting balance.
Because from what I hear from people playing the nightlies at the moment, it's like you literally can't do anything at the moment without accessing the admin cheat mode and giving you stuff. It's like you can't, because at the moment they're making the progression for the ship where it's like you actually have to repair your ship before you can fly anywhere and all that. They've implemented the system for repairing the ship, but they haven't implemented the thing that you have to do to cause that to happen. So you just have to admin hack the item into your inventory and then use it to repair the ship.
Okay, so
it's like
the event to give you the repair item doesn't exist yet.
Yeah, so in order to even play the nightlies at all, you actually have to know what the fuck you're doing, I suppose. Mm. It doesn't function as a game in the nightly version.
Yeah, weird. Pitfalls of early access, I guess.
Yep. They're having a lot of them, it seems. Oh, and I've just remembered one more thing that I did play that is also not much to talk about. I played some more Kerbal. Fucked around with that contracts and all that.
Oh, yeah, that thing.
There's not really much to say about that. Although it's kind of weird that now... I don't know if they rebalance the values, but it seems like I'm getting most of my science out of contracts now instead of doing actual science.
Huh.
Because that was always the thing with the science where you had to, you basically had to sort of exploit it, where it's like each terrain on Kerbal and each terrain on the moon counts as a different area, so you can get different science. And that was how you got a lot of science in the early game. But now it seems, now that you just get contracts which are like, test this, you do the standard part testing kind of contract that it spawns every time, but some of those will be like, here, this one will just give you a big lump of science as a reward.
Well, I guess that's what testing's about, though, isn't it?
Well, in theory, yeah, but then equally, it's like, even though it seems like it's giving me a ton of science, I feel like I'm not progressing up the tech tree as fast as I should be. So I'm like, I'm not sure if maybe they balance the numbers to make it so that you can rely on only one or the other, almost. Like you can get your science mostly from contracts or mostly from the regular science. and then if you theoretically do both, you can get tons. I don't know. Seems kind of weird.
Yeah. Interesting.
I mean, the whole problem with the science tree was really that in order to get the ability to do different kinds of science, you had to spend tons of science. Because you had to go down the branch which unlocked the parts that let you do science.
Yeah, okay.
So,
build rockets, stupid rockets, they explode,
That's your plan.
That's what that game's about.
I think I finally worked out aircraft. I think I finally
Seriously?
worked out how the center of mass, center of lift, and center of thrust things actually interact with each other, so I could actually build a stable aircraft. Because I obviously for the contracts, I wanted to build an aircraft that could basically just carry a payload on it, so that I could have like a fucking giant engine or whatever attached to it to go and do tests at specific altitudes. And I think I finally worked it out, where it's like, oh, so if I add all this extra mass up top, then I can reconfigure the angle of my thrust in the wings and counteract that, so it actually continues to fly stably. So yeah, success, I suppose.
how much experimentation did it take to figure that out then?
A fair bit. It was mainly because the part I was trying to test was I was trying to test one of the big engines attached to a tiny plane. It's like, that's going to shift the center of mass a lot.
Yep.
So then so in order to counteract that, I actually even had to because I was doing it as a jettison test. So it was basically, once you got up to the altitude, it was basically decoupling that engine off of the main plane. So I have my main plane, and its center of mass is all configured precisely so it could fly by itself. But then when you attach the testing part, it's like, now you have to account for that mass. So basically you have to have the testing part, and then the testing part has its own wings attached to it.
Right.
That are specifically counteracting that bit of mass. And then when that flies off, because it takes the wings with it, so it doesn't fuck up your lift otherwise.
Huh. Well, yeah, there's some logic to all that.
That's cool.
It's hella wasteful in terms of money.
Mm.
Although that's actually a problem with the contract system that they probably need to fix. Because you want to recover as many parts as you can, obviously, to save the cash. But you can't actually do that at the moment. Because I thought it was finally time where it's like, oh, my solid fuel boosters can have parachutes on them. So that you can parachute the solid fuel boosters back down and recover them. But that doesn't actually work. Because at the moment, if the vessel is in atmosphere and it's more than 2.5 kilometers away from you, it just gets destroyed.
Oh.
So it doesn't account for the parachutes. They just always blow up. So there's no reason trying to recover your own solid rocket boosters at the moment because it doesn't work.
Oh, that's a shame. They'll definitely fix that at some point, though, because that's a real thing. I mean, people will want to recreate the stupid SpaceX self-landing boosters.
Yeah,
probably.
exactly.
With the little legs.
Yeah.
So that game's still not technically out, is it?
No.
That's still early access or beta or whatever they want to call it.
I guess it must be.
In the same way that Minecraft is, I mean, for fuck's sake.
Space Engineers has been continuing to update every Thursday. They're doing a pretty good job of that. I haven't been playing it, but I've been seeing the updates happen. They're doing it's like they're being surprisingly consistent with their update every goddamn Thursday.
When are they? I wonder where they're scheduled to come out on Xbone.
Yeah, that was what I was wondering, because it's just like there's clearly not a final. There's not an actual game to this game. It might as well just be a creative sandbox for as much progression as there is in the survival mode. So it's like, what are they actually releasing on Xbox?
Yeah.
Right, I think it might be time to ask what Rob's been playing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Indeed.
Oh, yeah, we are running long again.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, I don't really have a great deal to say.
I didn't have anything to say.
Yeah, you made that half an hour somehow.
You've been playing Batman?
Yeah, I've been playing Batman, and that's pretty much it, really. I can't remember anything of note that I could cover else. I suppose we played some Mario Kart, but it's Mario Kart.
You played Team Fortress and Guild Wars and all the usual crap.
All the usuals, but nothing really to say. Yeah, I've been playing Arkham City. I'm about 13 hours, or maybe 16 hours in now, but yeah, sort of
cool.
Reasonable amount of time into it.
Yeah, that's a big chunk.
It's a pretty great game. But
sorry for that very long pause.
My usual critical self just is hard to keep in check. I mean,
it's good.
It does work pretty well. You know, like the combat is still pretty ace. It's visually quite nice, even though I think the PC port has a few issues this time around. It's very slickly put together. It's just a nice. A generally nice product. But for me, like the elements they add to the game that everyone seems to love, or that popular opinion seems to love, are the things that I think actually take away from why I liked Arkham Asylum so much.
Yeah.
It's like I think the open world stuff actually just makes everything really less coherent an experience.
Yeah,
like it feels like a bit of a clusterfuck of stuff. Like. There was way too many Riddler trophies now.
Yeah,
it's like
I agree.
The completionist in me still wants to fucking do them all, but at the start of the game, it's like you're seeing them everywhere, and it's like I don't know how to do hardly any of these because you don't have the stuff, and it's like, and you start with quite a lot of the stuff from the first game, like or more of the stuff anyway.
That's
and
true.
It's and it's just like, well, I don't know how to do any of this, and it's sort of it really annoys you for a while, and then. You sort of figure it out, and then the whole game is quite a learning experience in a way, because it's like some of the elements they've added to just getting around the city, like making the gliding work a bit better, making the grapnel boost stuff kind of interesting.
Once you figure out the gliding, it's a lot better.
It takes a while for you to get to grips with how the various bits of maneuvering the world work. Like even when you're using the grapple. The grappling hook or the grapnel boost, there are certain combinations of buttons that for a while I couldn't work out what I was doing wrong. So the grapnel boost is like a super useful thing for getting around, because while you're grappling yourself in, you double tap A and it speeds up the speed of it. With the hope that at the end of it, instead of like getting onto the ledge or something, you just use it to fling yourself. Therefore getting a bit more air and therefore gliding easier, so you can just like zip around all over the place. But, I don't know, I was doing something wrong for a really long time where it wasn't doing that fling, it was just getting onto the ledge, and it's like, well, what the bloody hell am I doing? And it's because I was holding down the button to fire the grapple.
Okay.
And I didn't realise I was doing it. I'd like push the button to fire it, and just naturally my finger would keep holding it during the grapple, thinking that, stupidly thinking that if I released it, I would lose the grapple.
Right.
But that's not how that works. It's like you push B to lose it. Well, you can't. I'm not even sure you can do that, can you? I'm not sure you can push B to drop a grapple mid-grapple.
I remember, yeah.
No. But then, so you have to lift that off, and you have to double tap A, and then you have to hold A, and then you get the fling. And it's like, and actually, that might be the easiest of these sort of control things to explain, but my word, there's a lot of stuff you have to try and remember quite precisely in order to control things the way you want, especially in combat. Because there's like a lot more of like the quick combination things.
Yeah.
Like you don't just get
all
the back
upgrades
claw
and stuff.
Yeah, because it's like now it's like when you're doing something, you hold left trigger and you press one of the face buttons, and each one of the face buttons has a different effect. And then sometimes remembering which one of those is the thing you want can be a problem, or at least it's taking me a while to learn that stuff. Yeah,
it took me a while too. I think I used to like struggle over the upgrades because I didn't want to buy them because I knew I'd have more to remember.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? And that whole upgrade menu looks crap compared to the one in Arkham Asylum as well, because it's so much more complicated.
They've tried to style it in a way that's actually probably more, I don't know, probably more accurate, because you're communicating with the bat pewter and stuff, or bat computer. I just want to always call it the bat pewter.
The bat pewter.
It's the bat pewter. And it's so, actually, but I sort of miss the old sort of like, they went the doubling down of the comic book style in all the menus and stuff from the previous game as well.
Yeah,
it's kind of neat. It just feels like there's too much. It's like, it's still a pretty awesome game, but there's just too much.
Yeah, I'm with you. I just like Arkham Asylum more, but I can't really blame them because they put more. I mean,
what choice do you have? You're making a sequel to a great game. So what do? You do more.
Exactly.
And they really have done more.
And they didn't make too many like big missteps. I mean, I'm still annoyed at I think it's a technological thing, but like the open world, like you say, it makes it a little unfocused. But I also felt like the open city is in fact a straight line that's curled into
a U
shape, which is like, well, yeah, you can't.
You're only ever really backtracking along that one path, are you?
Yeah, exactly.
So you can't the entire time.
You can't ever actually really go as the crow flies because you always have to go around the like weird corner.
And it's sort of strange how some of the instruments sort of like seem to like they may have coded in some of the cases like so the range is actually decreasing properly as you go around the bend or something.
Yeah.
Even though like as the crow flies, you're probably not closing the gap that quick. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
Mate, have they done that? It just feels like that sometimes.
Yeah, I expect they probably did. I mean, there's some nice sequences as well in it and stuff, and some of the, the new baddies and stuff are quite cool.
Yeah.
Like Mr. Freeze is quite cool and stuff. And
the backtracking seems a little bit more annoying than it used to.
Yeah.
I don't know why that is exactly.
Yeah.
You did backtrack in the first game.
Quite a bit. Well, it was Metroid basically, but I mean, it didn't feel.
But maybe it was quicker to get to where you wanted to go. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think it tutorializes itself very well either. I think because it just drops you in and you have more. You can actually do quite a lot than it tells you about for quite some time. And I find myself just doing it, and then by the time it actually tells you how you're supposed to do it, and it's like, well, I've already figured that out.
Yeah.
Cheers, game. I could have done with that like several hours ago. And the whole problem with more and the open world nature and the fact that there's a million different types of side missions and things makes the story a bit of a clusterfuck as well. It's like I liked the focused nature of the first game being pretty much about only like a couple of baddies. Like it's focused on the plot with the Joker and it's focused on the occasional side story with Scarecrow and stuff like that.
Whereas this one's got,
And it also seems less, and this sounds dumb because I say this all the time about sci-fi stories and stuff, the whole sort of scattershot of every bad guy imaginable is in the same place and they're all somehow interacting in some way. And there's always a sort of like, oh, how convenient moment in the actions that take place. Like, I don't know, it makes the whole thing really hard to believe and get behind.
I quite liked all the Talia stuff and all that, like what's her face?
Talia Ghul.
The Ra's al Ghul stuff when you go down in the assassin stuff when you go down into the sewers or whatever.
I don't know. That's one of the bits that I felt sort of like, oh, they just put it in because like the section's kind of cool, but it's like it feels like story-wise one of those sections that they just put in because they had to. It's like because the films were doing the Ra's al Ghul stuff.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, I think they do it in a different way from the film.
They totally do. They're more clear to the comic books, but it's. Or the whole original mythos of things, but
I know they're not as good as the Scarecrow sequences in Arkham Asylum.
No, and they sort of like do passing nods to that stuff, don't they? Like I don't know if you did the tea party, and it's just like,
I did do that,
but it's like it's an excuse for them to go crazy with that.
I wasn't expecting that. I didn't know about that, and that just happened, right? That's
just one of the side stories where it's like someone's like, "Hey, we sent you a cure," and you're like, "Really?"
Yeah,
you go and do it, and it's like, "Yep, everything's fucked up."
Yeah, that was quite memorable. I liked that. That was a good part of the game.
But again, it's another one of those. That's the only bit that the Mad Hatter's involved with.
Yeah,
it's like just throw in another bad guy. Like,
yeah, I thought that was alright, but I know what you mean in general, like to this plot line, because at least that didn't really matter to the overall plot. Like, it didn't affect it. But I know what you mean in general. It's like, oh, you're bouncing between the Penguin and freaking what's her face? And then there's the bits where you play.
I think if they restrict it a little bit more, like, perhaps if they, like, I don't know, like maybe Ivy doesn't need to be there, maybe some of the smaller bad guys. Two-Face doesn't really actually need to be there from what I've seen so far, just as a hook for Catwoman to be involved in something is the only reason, really. It's like, perhaps if they restricted everything down a little bit more and say perhaps had the Joker and Penguin and to a lesser extent maybe Freeze as that's it, these are the guys, then maybe they could have made a more involved story around those rather than being passed off from person to person to do their errand so you can try and not die, It's like the whole illness plot device seems a little stretched thin, and I'm like just over 50% of the way through the game, and it's like, how long is this going to keep going for? God damn it! I don't know.
That does last a while.
It feels like it's a much bigger game. Like, it's going to take me twice as long to complete as the first one did, and it's like easily. And that's not even 100%ing it. It's probably me just being like, am I sort of doing stuff that that's near to me, and just sort of not ignoring things, but just not really actively seeking things. It's like I say all this. It's like, this is one of my typical game reviews. It's like it all comes across pretty negative, but it's still.
But you're enjoying it. Right?
I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. I wasn't wrong to tell you to play it.
No. It's like I find myself playing quite long sessions of it. Like I'll play 2 or 3 hours and then just suffer from real burnout, and then I feel down about all of it.
Yeah, but you're loving it.
When I start to burn out from my session, then I start thinking about it, and then I'm like, oof. You know what was a great game? Arkham Asylum.
Yeah, I know. Arkham Asylum. I think Arkham Asylum is like up there on my favorite games of the whole generation. Up there with Red Dead, I think
it's the classic thing of a lot of new IPs, and that the impact of that game was pretty huge.
Yeah.
Just play. In so much as the legacy it's left behind with people trying to copy the Batman combat and the sheer slickness of all of its presentation and the focus of the story and the way everything was sort of Metroid-y but played out in a kind of very believable way. It's a very, very slick thing and clever in places and misleading in others, and it's great. It's a great thing. And some of all, as I say, a lot of that soul is missing, I think, from City. It's like mechanically everything's good.
Even better in places, yeah.
Even better, yeah. As you say, like in a lot of places,
it doesn't have, quite the same
feel.
spark.
It's not,
Which is, I don't know. It's cool.
I think I'm making. It feels like because I'm like when I'm not playing it that's a bigger deal than it really is. Because when you're playing it, okay, I get into that sort of Zen-like Assassin's Creed state where I'm just doing things.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I'm quite looking forward to the new one. I know Jeff Gerstmann's quite down on the whole Batmobile, but I think the fact that they're going for next gen only and everything, and I think it could be good, whatever it's called, Arkham Knight or.
So that's also one of the sort of problems I have with it, and the PC port of this version doesn't seem as slick as the last one. Like there are some things where it's like obvious console-y sort of problems, but like incredibly minor thing, the UI doesn't update at more than 30 frames per second. So like you can see like where your grapple is targeting and stuff is sort of slower than the rest of the world, which to me is rendering like over 60 frames per second most of the time. And I also get micro stutters especially when I'm flying around the city, like it's struggling to load quick enough. And some of that I have mitigated by doing some tweaks to its engine ini file. Like you can fuck around with some stuff in there, like increasing the texture pool size and storing how long it considers objects permanent. Like you can increase some of those values to make some of that better. But I shouldn't have to fuck around with this stuff. Like I have a system that's more than capable of. It's well beyond the specs they recommend, and it's still struggling. And this game is 2011 as well, and my current run of hardware was last year, I think. Apart from
it was just
my graphics card is last year's tech, so it's.
I got the impression from them. Yeah, they were optimizing it heavily for the consoles. I don't know how much they.
But they did such a good job at the Arkham Asylum PC edition. They made a big deal of when Arkham Asylum came out. It's like, oh yeah, we're supporting like NVIDIA 3D Vision at a time when 3D Vision was like kind of new and potentially exciting. And they were like, yeah, we're doing that. And it's like, although this still has 3D Vision support and this does have pretty good DX11 support, it's, as I say, you get these hitches, you get these problems, you get these. Still has texture loading, like the menus, like even the opening menu screen where it's showing those like stills of Batman, and it's like that's conceptually really cool, but the camera pan is weirdly jerky. Like you can see items sort of like it's not a smooth motion. It's like things sort of judder, and it's like little things like that where I don't think they've really focused on running things at a higher resolution than the consoles. You probably wouldn't see that at 720. Because I'm running it at 1080, you can see that, and it's
makes all the difference.
The cracks start coming out. And again, I must stress this is a typical Rob super negative sounding review, but it's actually a pretty great game.
Cool. You played anything else?
It just doesn't feel as good as the first.
No, I agree. Or play Arkham Asylum first, and then play Arkham City if you liked it.
Yeah, see what you think. It's all opinion. Arkham City seems to have a great. People seem to think that's the pinnacle of the series thus far.
I don't know.
I'm not so sure. But
I prefer the first one, definitely.
Yeah,
but
yeah. But as I say, I think general internet opinion from what I've read and.
The first game's the only game what did they call it on Giant Bomb in the old days?
You thousand, or you S-ranked it.
I S-ranked, yeah, the original, the original Arkham Asylum.
All 1,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't go through and play it again in hard mode. And a bit of me thinks that perhaps I should have started this one in hard mode as well, but I have found a couple of the fights kind of tricky this time.
Yeah, sometimes they get a bit icky.
Dealing with guns is still a problem.
Yeah, you have to just not let them shoot them.
No, and you've got some ability to do crazy stuff now, just grapple the gun out of your hands, and one of the special moves breaks the gun permanently. And I don't think I've seen many of those. I'm not sure I've seen any actually of those just gun replenishing boxes that they had from Asylum, which is nice. Then again, and then conversely, the smoke pellet is super powerful. It's you just launch it, you just stay there, and if anyone's in it, you can just sort of creep around behind them and silently take them down. Yeah. And then if there's just one guy hanging around outside the smoke pellet, we just grapple them out of the smoke and they can't see it coming. And it's that feels really cool, but at the same time, it's this takes most of the provided there's only two guys, this takes all of the pressure out of fighting guys with guns. The shortcut to the smoke pellet only appears when there's guys with guns shooting at you. You can activate it manually, but it's I wonder how effective that would be just to activate it during every fight I get into.
Well, give it a try.
Yeah. Oh, that's just reminded me of another things that it tutorialized super late. They added that thing in I think the Ra's al Ghul boss fight has that moment where you get dogpiled by several guys at once, and it just says, just mash Y to counter them all.
Yeah.
And you're brah! And you go, brah! But what it doesn't make clear is that actually works during a normal fight if multiple people attack you at once.
Right.
You can mash that a few times and he will counter both people attacking you.
Oh, cool.
And it's that's really cool, but it's only just told me that.
Right, yeah. And you could have been using that all along.
I could have been using that for a while, rather than trying to come up with strategies for seeing it. And it's something about the free flow combat doesn't feel quite so slick as well. I'm sure there are moments where it goes into they will put the blue marker over someone's head, but you're already in a move attacking a guy before that occurred, and that there's not enough time to do anything about that, depending on what animation you do. So I'm not sure about that. That could just be me not reacting to the situation well enough, but it does occasionally feel there are situations that I can't do anything about. Yeah,
some of the telegraphing isn't ideal.
And again, that might have been a problem with the old game that I just can't remember. But
yeah, probably. I think they did improve things somewhat. It's definitely more varied anyway.
Play Batman. Good old Rocksteady.
Cool. Oh, we're running out of time. Well, we're way over, aren't we?
We're way over. We're way over. It's all right. I've got nothing else to say, really. That's pretty much it.
I haven't got much to say. I didn't play anymore. I got put off FTL because my plan was to continue on easy mode and keep unlocking all the ships. But then the next ship I unlocked was the Federation cruiser, and it just looked like a crap version of the Pegasus. And I was like, that's lame. Do I really have to play this thing?
I really have to do another run.
Federation cruiser, the one with the artillery beam. That's the best.
No. Is it the cruiser? I don't know. The next Federation ship. It's only the third ship after the NG ship. What's it called? It's just the same. It's the same as the Pegasus. The Kestrel. Okay. Yeah,
same as the Pegasus from. That's a totally different. That's a different universe entirely.
Sorry, same as the Kestrel.
The Federation cruiser is the one with the artillery beam. Makes it super awesome and easy as well. Well, in theory, if you can manage the early part.
I think whatever it was, it didn't have the missile launcher that the Kestrel had, but it did. And I can't remember. And it had the blast, the Mark II blaster, the same as the Kestrel. And it's just
obviously. It obviously wasn't the stealth ship because.
No, I've unlocked
that's
that.
That's a whole different problem.
I've got the stealth ship. Yeah, but anyway,
you get that with an easy event. The big Federation cruiser, the one that's also that weird pale cream colour.
Right.
That one's kind of awesome if you upgrade the artillery beam sufficiently.
I didn't realise it had some kind of artillery beam on it. That might make it fun.
Yeah, it's attached to the ship. It's not like a weapon.
Oh, weird.
It's a ship upgrade.
So how do you use it then?
It just fires automatically.
Is that the difference? Okay.
Oh, interesting. Huh.
That's basically the trick to that ship is that, like, it's firstly, I mean, it's a room in your ship, so it can be targeted by attacks, which can disable it, of course, so that becomes a problem with protecting that weapon system. Because it's like a separate weapon system from your normal weapons
Sure.
room. But then, so it's like, it just fires automatically. It's a beam weapon that penetrates through all shields, but you can't target it, so it does like a random amount of damage, basically. And it may or may not hit what you need it to. But then, so its upgrade tree just reduces the cooldown between each shot. So it starts off with like 50 seconds or whatever, so it takes forever. But if you can survive the early game long enough to put enough scrap into it to upgrade it and get it to like the 30-second cooldown or 20 seconds, it's basically hella powerful because it will just rip through everything real quick.
Yeah.
And of course, it makes the end boss incredibly easy because you just don't have to do anything. You just wait.
Okay.
And it's guaranteed to kill it eventually.
Provided your other weapons perhaps
So
deal with their weapons.
No, you don't even need to. If you're dodgy enough or shieldy enough, you can just tank it.
I guess, yeah.
Because on the selection screen, I couldn't see the difference, but of course it's a tiny room in the ship that has a single missile icon on it, right?
Yes, it's a system instead of a weapon.
Artillery beam powers a slow, high-powered beam that pierces all shields. It does 1 damage per room hit. Okay. Wow, that's good. Pierces all shields, and you just upgrade it so it has a less cooldown.
Yeah. It's pretty powerful.
Okay.
I mean, that obviously it is tricky to get it to the later stages because you're having to spend so much scrap upgrading that. It's like the way to play that ship, I think, is you almost have to primary put all of your scrap into upgrading that as soon as possible at the cost of literally everything else, more or less. Which makes it a difficult run in the early game, because if you get unlucky and it doesn't do enough damage quickly enough or whatever, you can easily get boned.
Right, okay. So you have to rely on that thing, basically. Put everything into it and try not to die before. And so would you put scrap into that before, like, shields and stuff?
Well, I'd say you probably like alternate back and forth between shields and the upgrades for that. Like,
probably
do
get my
one
door
upgrade
upgrade
for that. Well, yeah, obviously.
Get the door upgrade.
But you probably like upgrade to level 2 shields first, and then the beam, and then shields, and then the beam, probably. Or depending on how much scrap you find, maybe the beam before the level 3 shields even.
I should get FTL on my iPad as my mobile game.
Yeah, I think so.
I think you mentioned that
anyway,
before.
I'll report back on that. I'll report back on that next time. So I'll give it a try. I just completely missed the freaking awesome thing about the ship. Apparently, the freaking artillery beam. Okay, awesome. Okay, I'll be playing that. So we'll get to hear about that next time, along with all the TGS news and various other shit.
If there's any TGS news.
If there is any.
Yeah, cool. Okay, thanks for joining us on the Saladcast. Catch us for that stuff next time, and check out happysalad.net and also our YouTube channel for more of these fools playing Final Fantasy VII and eating
theoretically other stuff.
And theoretically other stuff, yeah.
Don't mention this stuff.
We have plans. That was all I was going to say.
Never make a commitment, as we mentioned.
Yeah, we have plans, but no promises.
And maybe you'll see some of our old insane games we mentioned at the start that we made when we were 14 as well. So
look forward to that shit.
Yeah, look forward to that shit. Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye. No bye from Zach.
Sorry, I was fucking with my gums.
That's still not a goodbye.
No.
Shift! Oh god, shift! Shift!